talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your 1 o'clock headlines, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. We're told Gary O'Neill is the most likely candidate to take over at Wolves, and talks are advancing positively. If he returns, it'll be 11 months since he vacated the job, with Vitor Pereira taking over from there. He was sacked yesterday, with Wolves still winless this season. Simon Jordan says it's strange how things quickly went that bad.
He's not helped by the ownership there, because they've been running this club down in terms of the players that they sell. You can't just take all your best players out repeatedly and keep on working the oracle. Eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Meanwhile, Joe Cole wants to be a manager one day. He's told talkSPORT Breakfast he's learned honesty is key from working under Jose Mourinho at Chelsea, and he wouldn't worry about upsetting players.
If you're trying to make a team do something incredible, whatever level you're at, it's competitive, and if you're not open and honest and you're not truthful, you'll get found out. Players will find you out.
Now, Hearts striker Lawrence Shankland has been recalled to the Scotland squad for the World Cup qualifiers with Greece and Denmark. Falkirk's Scott Baines called up in place of the injured Angus Gunn. Beat Greece in the first game, and they'll face a one-game showdown with Denmark to qualify for the tournament next summer. And Martin O'Neill's exclusively told White and Jordan he's very much still interim manager at Celtic. And despite 2 wins from 2, the board have not asked him to stay on.
That has not been discussed. I think that we've got the Michelin game on Thursday, and then we've got Kilmarnock on Sunday, and then there's an international break.
After beating Rangers in the Scottish League Cup semi, O'Neill did say he'd quite fancy taking Celtic into the final. More on this at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A man's been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder after a knife attack on a train in Cambridgeshire on Saturday. And a pregnant British teen has been released from prison in Georgia after being held on drugs charges. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Cloudy with outbreaks of rain for many, that rain heaviest over higher ground in the west. A few spells of sunshine, particularly in the southeast.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Coming up over the next 3 hours, Danny Kelly joins us to go game by game through the Premier League weekend. Podcaster and Sunderland fan Andy Dawson previews tonight's game against Everton, and we'll have a reaction to the sackings of both Vitor Pereira and Will Still.
We also want examples of almost losing the faith, but being glad you didn't. Plus, not seeing your team be abject and the reasons why. And what else? John Smith, author, pops in to chat to us about his love letter to the cult 80s football movie, Escape to Victory.
There's all this, plus Andy Brassel guides us around Europe. Shabana Hurton gives us her take on the Mary Earps book, and we'll look back on a controversial night's boxing in Manchester.
Yeah, Spencer Oliver popping in to see us a little bit later on to fill us in the process when you appeal against what you regard as bad scoring in a boxing match. What happens next? We'll find out more about that and the fight involved. But it is approaching 6 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
And what a difference a week makes. Honestly,
Yeah.
football. Last week it was Chelsea are hopeless. Maresca's under pressure. He's got to go.
Yeah.
Oh, Thomas Frank's doing a great job. This week's completely the other way round.
Yeah,
it's mad.
that's the nature of the game. I'm delighted to say I didn't have to witness it, either in person, because I sold my tickets. I was at a wedding. Congratulations to Katie and,
that's nice, yeah.
And Tom, whose wedding I was at. I had an absolutely lovely day.
Oh, good.
And we were sort of mid-speeches as Tottenham.
Were you following it as it were?
No, you know what? I looked at my phone a couple of times. I saw it was 1-0. Knowing the way we'd been playing, I didn't feel massively confident unless we were going to do it something from a corner. Anyway, we're going to have a chat with Danny Kelly about it later on. But it's one of those times. I mean, I've highlights, inverted commas, I watched on Match of the Day afterwards. I couldn't bring myself to watch any more than that. But it could have been 5 or 6.
It was a 1-0 battering.
It absolutely was.
Really
I mean, you missed so many chances, didn't you? I mean, you could have easily. It was pretty abject stuff from Tottenham. So, but anyway, we'll talk to Danny about it later on. If there have been games, abject performances by your team, and the reasons why you managed to miss them and were relieved, do let us know. talksport.com, text 81089, tweet to TSH and J, 03717223344 to get in touch.
It was interesting, the discussion about the goal against Forest United's first goal from a corner.
Yeah.
And the fact that the ball wasn't clearly out. There is a way around this. I mean, VAR it doesn't have to look at every corner, but if a goal is scored from a controversial corner, VAR, I think, should be entitled to go back and say, well, a bit like they would in a move, go back and say...
But surely you want to make that decision before the corner's taken. See,
that's the problem. You then have to contest all of them. I'd only...
How far do you go back to chalk off a goal? I mean, what Sean Dyche said was
straight
right.
from a corner.
Yeah, but OK, so United score from the corner and then you have to go and chalk the goal off.
Absolutely. You look at it like you would in any other goal and you go, well, that was wrong in the move, that there was a foul in the move, or the ball was out in the move. The ball was out.
So you go back and you look at that.
You look at it and say, look, the ball wasn't out. No goal. No.
I mean, remember that one? Sometimes there'll be a bit of a trick in the arm. What was that one with the Arsenal-Newcastle game, wasn't it? Last season?
Well, there was one
in
the World Cup that was amazing that people were arguing about.
Yeah, but the one in the Arsenal-Newcastle game, which Arsenal, I think, was sawn off in that one, you weren't altogether sure it was out or not. It was a bit like a magic eye.
No.
From some angles it looked out, from some angles it didn't.
I was listening to the warm-up yesterday. Max made the point that I made a couple of years ago, and... a linesman, a friend of ours, doesn't agree with this, I know, but I agree with him. I don't see how the lino from that other side with 2 posts in the way can tell whether that ball's gone out from such a long way away.
Yeah. Thing is, though, in the old days before VAR, we just let officials make calls. Sometimes they flagged and it wasn't offside. You know, if we can't have it both. I actually feel that VAR should be all-encompassing, or we should completely get rid of it, apart from goal line tech and possibly semi-automated offsides. The rest of it, what's the point of only doing 50, 60, 70% of what it can do?
They've got to do something about the offside. The one in the West Ham game, Suchek, have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's like his toe. It's ridiculous. How is that offside? It's such a small margin. It's so tiny, you know.
It was actually quite a mad weekend with West Ham finally turning up and Newcastle and Tottenham being abject, and there were some really interesting games. I thought the game yesterday, until it got to 3-1, so the last half hour wasn't as good.
Very enjoyable.
But the first hour of City Bournemouth was really good, really exciting. Quality. And Bournemouth, a proper side, aren't they? He's done a great job.
He's a great coach, Areola, and I said to you, this isn't going to work, but I thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah.
Areola, I've seen rhymes with Guardiola.
Areola rhymes with Guardiola. I suppose it does, really.
If anyone's thinking of writing a poem about the game, if they feel moved, or a limerick, perhaps. And then I thought, well, churky rhymes with turkey and jerky, so that would be quite good.
And quirky.
So if you want to do
murky
football limerick, I know it's a bit of a high-level cool subject because it does.
Would you like to write a football limerick?
Well, you know,
have you got one? For the boys and girls. You haven't written one. You've just come up with some words that rhyme.
Yes, I haven't actually applied my own thought to it.
Knowing the heartland,
keep them clean.
Consider the time of day, folks. Consider it when there was a young man from wherever.
Look, it's a bit of a more difficult call, so a bit more demanding than one I heard on another station last week when I faced Barry gloating about Sunderland's win at Chelsea. And basically it was, what are you having for your lunch? I mean,
what are you having for your lunch?
That is the worst.
Do you want some of those?
No. It's the worst call.
Well, you do now know we're going to get a load, don't you?
I don't want any. I don't care. You don't care what I'd had for my lunch. I don't care what you have.
You don't have lunch?
I don't.
You have a hearty breakfast, don't you?
But nobody cares.
What did you have for breakfast?
Today? Who cares?
Well, I don't know.
Does anybody want to know?
Now we've opened up this particular can of worms. As long as you didn't have a can of worms.
That's exactly what.
What did you have?
I had my usual special high-protein cereal with fruit. And
what is the high-protein cereal?
It's called Surreal. It's ridiculously expensive. It's made out of pea protein.
They see you coming. That health food shop. You've kept Holland and Barrett going, haven't you?
They sell it insane.
They would have gone under about 10 years ago. Surreal.
Yeah.
It's surreal you spend that much on cereal.
It is ridiculous.
How much did it cost you?
It's about $4.50 a box.
And how long's the box last?
Not that long. A week and a half, maybe.
But does that kind of get you up for the game? Does it 4 hours? You said because you don't eat during lunchtime.
Yeah, but then that's part of the breakfast. And then I had, with it, I had the fruit. And then I had toast with a Marmite spread on top.
Yeah.
Then avocado.
Yeah.
And then a fried egg on top of that.
Okay.
Very nice.
The boss has been in touch.
Oh, yeah.
Homemade tomato soup with a white cob. And it was lovely, apparently. So you say people don't want to know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't get it. People just ring up and they say they're having for their Sunday lunch, and you just think, I could care less.
Corner or no corner? Defend the corner, says James from Lincoln. Forest had a dodgy one in the second half, but didn't score from it. It was like the one yesterday. I mean, I don't know, Guardiola seemed to be hinting at some kind of conspiracy theory about referees that go to the Etihad when he said, we all know, referees, don't talk to me. And he was going into this thing thinking, what was some sort of dark truth that no one talks about? The guy, Donnarumma,
Brooke held his arm slightly, but he let go in time for him to make the jump.
Yeah.
And I've seen Donnarumma do that a few. That's his weak point on crosses.
Yeah.
He does that punch, and
he scuffs the punch, and that's why they score.
Yeah.
If you want to bring it back, you could arguably bring it back. But there's no deep conspiracy against Man City, is it? I mean, the way he was...
For goodness
he seemed to be hinting at something much more than that.
But it's nonsense.
Anyway, Danny Kelly's going to join us. We're going to get stuck into... yes, what about this? The reason I bring it, our executive producer, Max, a West Ham fan. West Ham hadn't won at home. He's a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
He was telling me earlier on how surprisingly cost-effective the season ticket. He pays about half of what I pay at Tottenham.
Yes, well,
and I'm not an argue at the moment.
Guess who's funding the club?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're subsidising his season ticket.
I know,
aren't we? We're probably paying 50% of that.
We are. It's not right.
But the point is, he's been to every home game for 7 months and not won any of them, and he didn't go yesterday. So that can happen, can't it?
That was a strange performance from Newcastle.
It was very flat, wasn't it?
Well done to West Ham.
Paul and Annie, one of the only Grimsby home games I missed in 10 years was Grimsby 6, Burnley 5, due to being in hospital, he says. Well, that can happen,
That's
can't
not
it?
your fault, is
we
it?
hope you're feeling all right now.
Yeah.
And somebody's interested in any Brian Linford letters. Ash, the Newcastle fan, needs cheering up.
Oh, right, OK, I've got one
for
him.
OK. I'm surprised that we haven't had quite a lot of people telling us what they had for lunch, but I think the producer's not bothering to put them through onto our screen.
Where's Linford gone? I'm sure there was...
Anyway, Danny Kelly's up next. We're going to work our way through the Premier League weekend, look at all the big talking points. Author John Smith pops in. Escape, a love letter to a football cult classic. He's written a whole book about Escape to Victory. Some really interesting stuff he's turned up. We'll be hearing from John a little bit later on. Our own Shabana Hearn pops in, has her own take on what's going on with the Mary Earps book. I know she's having a chat with Leanne Sanderson today, and you'll hear that in the Women's Football Show tonight. Talk a bit of Southampton in light of Will Still leaving his job, losing his job. And we're also going to talk to Andy Brass. I think his stock is still very high on the continent, certainly in France. I doubt if he'll be out of work for very long. Maybe it just wasn't the right fit, Anyway, Danny's going to kick us off. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Check out Toolstation's unmissable Milwaukee deals. Shop in store, online or on the app. Next stop, Toolstation.
must-win, all-action Premier League football.
Burnley 0, Arsenal 2, and it's Declan Rice with the header.
And 8 points from safety, and shouts from the away fans if you're getting sacked in the morning. Full time at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 3, Wolves 0.
Far too easy. Brighton 3, Leeds 0. Diego Gomez with his second of the afternoon.
Crystal Palace 2, Brentford 0. The hosts doubled their advantage.
Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 2, all square again. What a goal. Ahmad Diallo.
Caicedo down the middle. He squares it to Pedro. It's 1-0 to Chelsea. And Pedro wheels away in celebration. Given away, Mo Salah. This time he'll count. This time Liverpool have the lead. It's his 250th goal for Liverpool. And it's 3 points that lifts them up to third in the table. Crisis. What crisis, you may say. And it's the fan favourite Thomas Souček who seals the points in stoppage time. It's West Ham 3, Newcastle 1.
It's Erling Haaland again with his second goal of the game, his 13th Premier League goal of the season. Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 1.
That's how the weekend unfolded on talkSPORT. Let's forensically go through it then, game by game, in the company, as always, of our very own Danny Kelly. Good afternoon, Danny.
Yeah, good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not sure about forensic. Frantic, perhaps.
Frantic,
yeah.
It was overall, it was a kind of enjoyable weekend. There was some interesting scorelines, some interesting matches, some really entertaining matches as well. A couple of dog ones from our point of view, Danny, but we'll come to that later. Let's start.
I quite enjoyed it.
I'm sure you did. Let's start with Manchester City 3, Bournemouth 1. I was saying just before.
Yeah, quality game.
Yeah, really good game of football that Bournemouth played a huge part in, and really until that third goal were really right in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, the stats alone, Manchester City, who would have thought that they'd be, winning what looks on paper comfortably, but Bournemouth had the majority of the possession and made good use of it, and as always were, really threatening once they get going with the ball. So that, in some ways, that will explain as well why Pep Guardiola was so pleased afterwards, because he knows they're a good team, Bournemouth, and a combination of, cheat code Erling Haaland, plus the emergence, the first signs that he and Ryan Cherki may be the front two combination that really continues to unlock the already brilliant Haaland, because they were pretty good, the two of them together. And afterwards, Cherki, I was pleased with. I saw his interview, and he said, "Yes, it's my job to make goals for Erling and to score, because he won't want to be number two in that team."
No.
A quick point about Haaland, and it's obvious that he's in the form of any forward in the world, along with Harry Kane. But just little things like in the run-up to the first goal, where he was an unstoppable monster once the ball was played over the top, headed on by Cherki, he played a lovely flick pass in the middle of that move, 30 yards from his own goal.
Yeah.
His game is improving. I think his enthusiasm for the game improves, but now he's once again the centre of what City are trying to do. So, it was a great day for them. Rodri came back into the team eventually. Nouri came back in. They beat a really good team. Overall, you'd have to say that was a fantastic afternoon for Manchester City.
Yeah.
A wonderful illustration, though, of Haaland's strength. I mean, O'Reilly's a good player.
Yeah.
He's not a finisher like that, but they both had similar chances, and you saw him take.
I mean, that's a bit tight on that.
I don't mean it in that way. I mean, how amazing.
Yeah.
O'Reilly did what a lot of players could do.
But the ball was cleared off the line.
Yeah, they'll score or they won't score, or whatever happens. Whereas with Haaland, you just know he's going to score.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I think the timing of his runs as well. I mean, he came from very deep for one of them, but still, he gets it spot on. When you see him looking along the line, he has become so skilled at that. And there's a lot of players out there who get offside. I mean, it's a bit hard to have a go at Krupi, really. He's a kid, but you see the difference there.
He's got to be one of the best finishers of all time. I don't know about
but Andy, we're watching something extraordinary, aren't we? We really are watching something extraordinary. But the thing is, Paul, he's become good at that thing of watching where he is in terms of the offside line, despite the fact that he doesn't need to do it.
Yes.
He's so powerful once he gets running. He could start a yard the other side of the defenders, and in 90% of cases, still get to the ball first.
Yeah.
But he's given himself yet another huge advantage by not bending, but delaying his timing, to use your word. Timing his runs perfectly. And Andy, you're right. Sometimes, we all have our tribal loyalties in football. Sometimes if we say we love the game, then you just have to watch him play and just go, wow. Not since prime first time round Ronaldo have I felt the same way about the certainty of somebody scoring.
Where did you stand on the Donnarumma punch held by Brooks, etc. situation?
I mean, because there's no consistency, of course, because another day that will be called, look, you're a huge man, Donnarumma, get out, punch the ball properly. If you have, somebody made a slight grab at his arm, but you've just got to be stronger there, that's all. Or, as we see many Premier League teams do, Paul, we've got to put two defenders on the goalkeeper to protect him from the nonsense that's going on around him. I think he'll look back on that and think I could have done better there.
Has anyone, very quickly, though, on Cherky, it's very interesting. We'll talk about Xavi Simons and other players, Wirtz. It's amazing how some come into the Premier League and settle in. Even like Estevao, a young kid, he seems perfect at home. Others just
take a while.
All at sea.
Yeah,
it's really odd.
they do. I mean,
I suppose it depends on what the other part of the team is doing.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a lot of moving parts. Let's move on then to a brilliant day for West Ham. West Ham 3, Newcastle 1. I mean, there were protests afterwards, and to hit the post, still be on the hive saying getting behind the lads as the West Ham fans were, then to see a sucker punch from Newcastle, but yet to respond to it. I mean, maybe a bit of a newfound resilience in the Nuno era, but that was great for them to come back and win like that.
You spotted it, Andy. That would have killed West Ham most of the last 12 months. It would have killed them off. Last week, I think first of all, let me just say that on another platform completely, Sirius, an American radio station, I predicted this West Ham win.
Wow.
I don't know why, I just did. But he obviously listens to this programme. If you remember last week, I was saying there's no point in playing 5 defenders if they're all no good. Yeah. And there's no point in doubling down on your static midfielders. You're just making the problem worse. And Nuno, I think, deserves fantastic credit. Goes back to a back 4, so he's got one spare player, and bringing in Potts and Fernandes, particularly Potts. They may not be the well-beaten players at the moment, but at least they've got some legs. And West Ham were being completely overrun. And think about Newcastle's midfield. For them to stick in the game the way they did West Ham was credit to the players, obviously, but also to the manager, who's gone against his own instincts here to try and change the direction of travel, particularly at the London Stadium. Really, really good. Aided as well by the fact that Newcastle are not quite as good on the road as they are in the North, are they?
John McEnroe's not happy you're working for another radio station. You cannot be serious.
There we are, of course. 7 months without an away win.
Had to be done.
That is an odd stat. I mean, I know some of it was close, but 7 months without an away win does feel a bit mad for a team with a quality. Maybe, they had a midweek game. Maybe that surprisingly, a game against Spurs took more out of them than it probably looked like.
It didn't take much out of them, did it? Let's be truthful.
That's true.
Look, I don't know quite what it is, because particularly with the physical strength and reliability and Premier League experience now, that midfield 3, you think away would be no problem for them. But that's something for the manager who... He was making the point that they've had some good performances away, but not got the results. That's almost worse, isn't it? Because that means he's got less to work on.
Liverpool 2, Villa 0. And as interested in Arne Slot say afterwards, the margins are so fine. He knows that had Morgan Rogers gone one in, had Mamardashvili not made that great save from Matty Cash, could have been a very different atmosphere. The team would have been under pressure again, facing another defeat. But he kind of went back to basics, Danny. He picked last year's team, didn't he, to kick it all off again?
Insofar as he could. The goalkeeper obviously was one of the exceptions. The return of Gravenberch helped in midfield. And I think, the margins are narrow, which makes it even less explicable why, against a Liverpool team who all season have struggled with the ball behind their central defenders, decided they were going to tick-attack their way out of the penalty area, not once, but the entire game. And normally reliable players, Pau Torres, Martinez, their passing broke down, because we know that last year's Liverpool team, their strength was getting the ball back in the opposition third. Villa, it was an odd tactic to stick to, given what we've seen with Liverpool this season.
He doesn't get a lot wrong like that, Henry, but he did seem to.
Good analysis on Match of the Day about that. Their decision not to play as many long balls as other teams had done was odd.
What was to be achieved by that? And particularly once Liverpool had the sort of general shape and size of last year's team, the one thing you don't want to be doing is playing around in front of your own goal.
Yeah. Maybe taking some of those players out of the firing line that finding it a little bit difficult to adjust is not a bad thing in some ways. I mean, Wirtz came on, but he came on in a better situation than is often the case.
He'll be fine. He's a good player.
Yeah, of course he is. In the long run, he'll be fine.
Of course, but you've made the point that it is, and of course, some of it's how the team is doing. But the physical demands of the Premier League will force particularly technical players to change their game slightly.
Yeah.
Your brilliant first touch gets you away from your opponents in, say, even the Bundesliga. In the Premier League, it's just a prelude to another tackle coming your way.
Well, this will bring us neatly on to Xavi Simons, the other side of the news headlines. Danny Kelly's with us. I'm afraid we must, Danny. Tottenham 0, Chelsea, was it 5? Oh no, it was only 1. We'll do that very, very shortly.
We're told Gary O'Neill's looking for a Wolves contract that runs beyond the end of this season. And O'Neill is the favourite to take over from Victor Pereira, despite his sacking 11 months ago. Our reporter Ben Jacobs says the ball's in O'Neill's court if he wants to go back.
If he does so, the expectation is that Sean Derry would also join him as well. But it's going to be whether or not O'Neill is somebody that Wolves feel can not only get them out of trouble, but if the parties were also to agree something longer term.
Vitor Pereira was sacked with Wolves still winless this season. Now, Steve Bruce is siding with the Spurs players who blanked their manager. Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence stormed straight past Thomas Frank after losing at home to Chelsea. Here's what Steve's told White and Jordan.
If I've been beaten and I've played badly, the one thing I don't want to do is I want to just get off. get into the dressing room and have a pop at a few. You know, that's all you want to do. You don't want to go around. How can you go around the supporters when you've played so badly, lost a derby game?
And Martin O'Neill insists he's not spoken to Celtic's board about staying on a little bit longer as manager. The 73-year-old did admit at the weekend he'd like to take the squad into the Scottish League Cup final after beating Rangers in extra time. More at talkSPORT.com.
He squares it to Pedro. It's 1-0 to Chelsea.
Chelsea go 1-0 up when playing Tottenham.
Honestly, it's a joke how we defend that.
We just made too many bad decisions to throw the ball in.
I know Thomas Frank's come in to help us defend and be, resilient. But I tell you what, we've got to try and find a way of scoring some goals. I don't know what has happened. We never look like scoring a goal.
I looked at the league table. They could have went second by beating a big rival in Chelsea. And they never turned up. It was really poor.
Spurs got schooled by a team that's just out of school.
Jed Spence, Mickey van der Ven walking straight past the manager and down the tunnel, not going over to applaud the fans.
So it was a really strange incident because the reaction of Thomas Frank is way different where he's confused. You can clearly see that Thomas Frank's not OK with that.
Full time at Chelsea's playground, a.k.a. the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs 0, Chelsea 1.
It was a 1-0 battering. It was an embarrassing defeat for Tottenham Hotspur at home to a London rival. This is how you play.
Yeah, it wasn't great, I'll give you that. Yeah, thank goodness I didn't have to watch it either in person or live on the telly.
When the goal went in, Thomas Frank, I've watched a lot of Thomas Frank at Brentford because I've stood behind exactly where he is. I'm like about 10 yards. I've never seen him react like that to anything on a football pitch.
No.
He went absolutely mad.
He's never been involved with a team that have created that little in a game in his whole career.
It's true.
Probably in park football in Denmark. Danny's probably had an hour of this on the View from the Lane Spurs podcast earlier on today. We got to give every game the right weight. So let's just deal with this very quickly. Your take on it, Dan?
On the View from the Lane, I kind of apologise because after the game against Newcastle, I was talked out of losing my mind because I could see there were incredible problems with that team. And Thomas Frank's talk of 6 or 7 great opportunities didn't wash with me. This game was even worse, and they clearly have some problems. I mean, Thomas Frank kicking a water bottle. I said on the other programme, I said that's because there were 4 individual errors leading up to the goal. I was corrected by my colleagues. Actually, there were 6. Because I forgot that Danso and Bentancur had also previously messed up. Spurs were Chelsea. Well done. They did what they had to do in putting away a babyish looking Spurs team. But the clue is in this, isn't it? Moses Caicedo looked what he is, one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League. The clue is that Reece James looked like the second best defensive midfielder in the league, and Enzo Fernandez the third, because Spurs had nothing. Paper thin, can't pass the ball. And,
they look terrified in possession. I've noticed it. They cannot wait to get rid of the ball. I mean, players like Xavi Simons, who's been all swagger all his career, just look like a player who looks frightened of his own shadow at the moment, lacking.
But he's not alone, Paul. Let's be truthful about the passing was terrible.
No, it's true.
No, you can. You can if you want to. You can single him out because his game is way off what we know he can do. But when the manager is brought in to stabilise the team defensively, and people say, well, he's done that. Vicario's performances in the last 3 games that he's played, because he missed out on the Carabao Cup game, shows that that's not true. Without the goalkeeper, Spurs be losing 3s and 4s in every game currently. I'm not paid 100 50 grand a week to do something about it. But Thomas Frank has got to work out some balance here. Spurs are doing what they've done ever since Pochettino. They're madly overreacting to the previous manager.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to be more defensively sound, but you've got to find a way to get a tune out of forward players. And even if you say they're not the greatest collection of forward players, then you've got to find a way of doing it collectively, haven't you?
It was. Look, you didn't need to be that good to win, did you? Really, you've played better and probably lost this season.
The thing about Chelsea that drives you mad is their mentality.
Yeah. They're up for the big games.
Up for the big games, up against Liverpool, up for it against Spurs. You know on Saturday they're playing Wolves. You know what's going to happen. You do. Because at home, they just won't be up for it. There's something about, although I do look at Chelsea, and I think of Arsenal a couple of years ago. I think they are building towards... You can see where they're trying to get to, and, they could... Maybe 2 years away from a serious challenge.
Just a very quick one on this, Jed Spence, and they played it in a little package there, and Mickey van der Ven. Apparently the whisper seems to be that their problem was with the negativity coming down from the stands. And it's a two-way street, this. The fans were up for it at the top of the game, but if you serve them bilge, you can't expect them just to sit there blindly clap and cheer.
What other way do the fans have to express their satisfaction with a performance like that? And it gets worse, Paul, because now we're getting from lip readers that Jed Spence told the manager to go away.
But I think you've got to make some allowances here. These two very, very good players, very competitive, and they were disappointed at a really weak challenge in that game, and I think they were just angry. So I wouldn't overreact to the whole thing, and I doubt whether Thomas Frank will.
Okay,
the only thing I would
say, Andy, but then what happens when it happens again and other team members say, well, they were allowed to say that to you, why can't I?
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what he's going to do in private, do you? You don't know whether he's going to find them.
I mean, the thing is, it's going to be a big talking point in his press conference ahead of the Copenhagen game.
I mean, finally on Chelsea, Garnacho has been taken off 2 weeks running. Somebody needs to have a word with him and say to him, look, you've just joined a new club. You're part of a battery of four wingers. You'll play some games. You'll be taken off in some games. Stop playing for yourself. Stop reacting as if it's the most insulting thing that's ever happened. You've been subbed in a game.
Yeah.
He does himself no favours with that sort of sulky attitude.
No.
It's not just about you, mate.
Let's move on. Nottingham Forest 2, Manchester United 2. Again, I was at the wedding. I was relying on highlights. But Andy, you said it was another very entertaining game.
Going for the highlights, on Match of the Day. But I thought it was encouraging for Forest and not too much of a setback for United because it was a solid away point and they're definitely looking better, no question.
Yeah, it's a game where both teams, you can see them improving, stabilising, whatever the phrase is that you want to use, and one or two fantastic goals. Obviously, Ahmad's goal has got all the attention, but Morgan Gibbs-White's header, by the way, really, really good from that distance. I think Alan Shearer talked about it on the BBC. The second week running that Forest have conceded from a corner that wasn't a corner, but we can't have any more measuring by VAR of these things. We're just going to have to occasionally...
I think when a goal's scored, they could go back. You can't do it at every corner, but the corner gets taken, the goal goes in directly. They could look at it, but as you say, do we need any more?
Yeah.
The trouble is, Andy, if you do it for corners, you've got to start doing it for throw-ons as well, because they've become so dangerous.
It all kind of slightly unravels.
I was saying to Paul, though, that Gibbs-White, it does show you he would have been a much better signing for Spurs short term than Simons,
Well, because he's oven ready.
Yeah.
I mean, that was true of Ezra as well, had they got him. That's the key. You've got players that can hit the ground running, and that makes a huge difference. A few people suggesting that it was like an Elliot Anderson audition because Manchester United may come calling. I don't know. But, I mean, again, he's proving what a fine player he is, isn't he?
He's very good, wasn't he? I mean, you're right. In a weekend... with one or two exceptions of really good games of football, he showed that in a game it's been played at a very high level. It was well within his compass, well within his control, and when he arrived there from Newcastle, if you'd asked me if he'd be one of the better midfield players in the Premier League, 18 months later, I would have said I really can't imagine that to be the case.
Yeah,
the bloke who hasn't had his hair won't cut his hair until.
He must have been gutted. Yeah,
that's what he's saying. Back to square one. I'm thinking unless United get 5 home games in a row, he's just going to have that hair forever.
Well, it's just Mr. Tottenham they visit at the weekend. They've got an appointment with the consultant, so that'll be interesting. Saturday lunchtime on talkSPORT. The game. Let's move on to the game that cost Vitor Pereira his job. Fulham 3, Wolves 0. And it's we've gone from, in the space of it feels like a blink of an eye. Oh, good old Vita, he buys us a pint in the pub round the corner. To sacked in the morning. It's a cruel mistress, football, isn't it, Danny?
Enjoyably so, Paul. Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's fair to say. First of all, can I just have a quick 10 seconds on how wonderful it is to see Ryan Sessegnon after 4 injured years at Spurs, really playing his heart out at Fulham, scored and made a goal. Really good to see him do that.
And his time at Tottenham, any burst of pace like we saw for his first goal, he would have been pulling up, clutching his hamstring. So it's good to see him fit and firing, isn't it?
The guys with the stretchers used to wait at the far end of the left-hand side of Spurs' team for him to fall down.
He didn't trust his body, so clearly now those operations that he had
have worked.
Makes you wonder why maybe Tottenham didn't give him another year. But anyway, he's loving it at Fulham, so good luck to him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in some ways you could argue this was a must-win game for both teams. Look, Fulham are absolutely the bosses of this, and Wolves are learning the lesson that teams who have that business model of trusting their recruitment completely and selling on their best players, that can work. It does work in some cases. But the issue I've got with it is when it starts to unravel, it does so quickly.
Yeah.
We've seen this with Wolverhampton Wanderers over the past 18 months. It unravels with such speed that nobody can control it. And, Vitor Pereira, odd noises coming out of his camp that he's sorry he signed, that he didn't leave in the summer. Then you find out that the contract which he signed means that you'll only get paid off for 6 months. There wasn't quite faith from any party there, was there?
No.
The recruitment wasn't good enough. They weren't sure about the manager. The manager wasn't sure about the club. And they have now got an enormous task to stay up because I think statistically they're almost gone.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough. We're going to have a chat with Dave Edwards, a former Wolves midfielder, later on to chat about the possible return of Gary O'Neill. Gary O'Neill lost the first 10 games last year when he had Cunha and Nori.
Makes no sense.
He's coming back to a weaker squad. So, wow.
Well, yeah, that's a pretty gutsy decision if he does go, Gary, because he must know that situation, Paul.
Absolutely. Dave Edwards joining us later to talk about that. We'll move on. We've got the 3 remaining games. Game tonight, of course, live on talkSPORT, and we'll be looking ahead to that with Andy Dawson later on. But Palace Brentford up next. Danny Kelly with us as we go game by game through the Premier League weekend. We're here with our good friends at Toolstation. You can check out Toolstation's unmissable Milwaukee deals. Shop in store, online, or on the app. Just before we continue in our game-by-game review of the Premier League weekend, Tom Clayton has popped back in. And, Tom, there's some news has emerged around the terrible knife attacks at the weekend on the train in Cambridge.
Yeah, good afternoon. So Scunthorpe United have confirmed a player of theirs was one of the 10 victims of that knife attack on a train in Cambridgeshire on Saturday evening. A statement from the club says Scunthorpe United can confirm registered player Jonathan Gyosh was one of the victims affected by the attack on the LNER train bound for London on Saturday evening. We can confirm that Jonathan sustained non-life-threatening injuries as a result of the attack, but currently remains in hospital due to the ongoing investigations taking place. We're currently unable to update further. Now, Nottingham Forest also made a statement yesterday saying they'd help with the medical bills of those affected. After the knife attack on Saturday, it's been confirmed a 32-year-old man's been charged with 10 counts of attempted murder. Anthony Williams has been remanded in custody today. It's also emerged that he'd been charged with a separate knife attack on London's DLR just hours before the attack on the LNER train. We'll, of course, keep you up to date during the news bulletins this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Tom. Tom Clayton there. We'll have more sports headlines at 2 and the news with Sinead at 2:30. Let's move on then to the game between Crystal Palace and Brentford. Danny Kelly, of course, is with us. And another interesting game. Very good result for Palace. Not the greatest day for Nathan Collins, really, overall, was it?
No, I meant to make a point, of course. We're seeing more own goals this season because of the new emphasis on attacking the 6-yard box, either with throws, corners or crosses. And Nathan was one of several defenders who found themselves facing the wrong way. He also, you're right, compounded it a little later with a mistake. This game, there's a kind of predictability about it, wasn't it? Palace, I think Brentford had one of the highest, if not the highest, possession stat of any team of the weekend in the Premier League, which is what Palace want. They just love it. You can have the ball all you want, and we will find a way to come back and hit you. Did this without Adam Wharton as well. So it's a pretty good result, this. Just a little. I mean, Andy will know better than me. Brentford need to watch out. They're not getting virtually any points on the road at the moment, which will eventually put a lot of pressure on their home
form.
Do,
though. They'll start winning away from home and losing at home.
Well, they did under Frank, but whether they do under Andrews.
It's interesting, though, because another set play, they're all the rage, and another one from a long throw. You'd think Brentford would get enough practice against them in training, wouldn't you?
Yes, you would imagine so. What we saw with Chelsea's set-piece coach was getting a pat on the back after the game the other day because it seemed like a simple tactic, but in an effort to make sure that Sanchez got a clear run at the ball and a chance to catch it, which he did a lot from Tottenham's long throws, they pushed men up to the halfway line, 3 men to declutter the box, which meant Tottenham immediately had to push players up there to mark them. I mean, it sounds very simple and it's probably not a cure-all, but it maybe is one way of letting your keeper have a decent run at the ball.
Because you could take the risk and think, OK, well, we'll leave those 3 up and we'll be 3 over in the box, we'll score. Yeah. If they don't win
I don't think that's the Thomas Frank. That Ange would probably do that. I'm not sure Thomas Frank would.
The mathematics are against that, aren't they? Because the players attacking only have to head the ball in a very 30 degrees towards the goal. The defender have got 180 degrees to clear the ball in. So mathematically, it makes no sense to leave them on their own at all.
Burnley 0, Arsenal 2, and that moment when Dubravka's not sure, was it Kyle Walker? He didn't think it had clipped Kyle Walker. He lets the ball go out. And you kind of know then, that could be expensive for you. It becomes a corner, and Arsenal score from it, and that sets them on the way in a game that you probably never thought they would lose.
Well, I think sometimes when I talk about this Arsenal team, it sounds like I'm being critical. I'm not. They are remarkable. This is an amazing thing we're watching. 7 games without conceding. They're heading towards Chelsea's apparently impregnable record of goals not being conceded. And on top of that, they are. People talk about just the set pieces, but they're putting teams under so much pressure. They get loads of set pieces.
Yeah.
This is a really impressive team. No one is going to, at the moment, write down and say, my goodness, do you remember the stuff they played? But if if the game is about winning at the very top level and finding a way with those very fine margins the managers always talk about, then Arsenal are remarkable. Of course, they are just the physically strongest team in the league, and you're going to have to find ways of breaking them down.
They've got absolutely everything champions elect need. They've got solidity, depth, set plays, flair, goals, goalkeepers. Gabriel is a key player. Rice is a key player. If those two got injured, maybe derailed.
They've got more to come back, though, as we've been saying. Havertz to come back.
I'm saying when you play Arsenal, you should get a point if you get a shot on target.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And Burnley, as we said last week, winning their mini league will be key. Again, they're not going to be judged on losing to Arsenal at home, are they? That's true. One more to squeeze in then, and that is Brighton 3, Leeds 0. Not a great day for Leeds all round. What do we make of this one, Danny?
The fact that it's that Brighton, if you could say that against expected points, you could say Spurs are outperforming themselves. Brighton have done the opposite. They're back into the top half of the table, I think, for the first time this season. But anyone who watches their games closely, even the games where they got no points, they're getting a lot of attacking in. In most of their games, I think nearly all of their games, they have had the majority of the shots at goal, which is, after all, what possession is for. And today, yesterday or whatever it was at the weekend, against a Leeds team that are not the most competitive away from home, like so many teams, once they converted their chances, I think we saw really what Brighton are about. They are a better team than they've been showing this season, and and once again, Danny Welbeck. I mean, we'll be doing this show. The three of us will be doing it from care homes, and Danny Welbeck will still be scoring.
Is he in Thomas Tuchel?
Well, this is the thing. With Thomas Tuchel, I think the Seb was saying the other day that he's only there really until this World Cup. He'll do anything to win. He won't care about the long term. It makes sense.
I mean, to back up to Kane.
Yeah.
Who else is? There's only Ollie Watkins.
Watkins.
Welbeck's got to be in there.
I wonder if he'll. What are the chances, Danny? Do you expect to see him in the next squad?
No, I think they'll go. I think that they believe that Marcus Rashford is the third choice up front, and Rashford is playing very well at Barcelona, albeit in a pretty good team.
Yeah. And also on the left, I'm talking about. He's not great down the middle. Rashford.
I know, but I guarantee that's what that'll be the thinking, because Welbeck will look like. Welbeck will look like a bridge too far.
Funny enough, a few of our spies at talkSPORT are telling us he is under consideration, so we'll see if he makes the final cut. And there's bound to be a question when he announces the squad.
You watch a Brighton game, you think, I've never heard of half of these.
Yeah,
and they're all really good.
Aren't they good?
I know.
And from Leeds' point of view, they haven't scored in half of their league games, and they've not been great away, so they're going to have to be a bit careful, aren't they, in the old battle to stay up, really.
I think you've kind of mentioned it. Their fate is reliant on how they get on in the 5 or 6 teams around them in the league.
Yeah,
because they haven't got enough to really consistently challenge the top half of the Premier League. They've got that great crowd at Elland Road, but they have got to target maybe 12 fixtures against other teams who are down the bottom there, and hope that they get enough points out of those to give them a decent chance.
Well, I'll listen to you and the View from the Lane boys on my way home and beat myself with birch twigs on the route back. Danny, I take it the Trans-Europe Express podcast is available if people would like to listen to last night's show.
Provided my underlings have done their work overnight, it should all be there for you. Yeah,
good stuff. We'll catch up with you next week. Thanks very much.
Loved it. Thank you. Bye.
Danny Kelly there. I'd say Trans-Europe Express, always a good listen. The other half of the show, Andy Brassell's going to join us later on. We'll talk about Will Steele and whether his stock is still high in Europe. I'm guessing it is after the job he did over in France. Talking of podcasts, the latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast is available now. Alan Pardew, a majestic roundup of all the Premier League's action, including Vita Pereira's exit from Wolves, Spurs' poor performance home to Chelsea, and the race for the Premier League title. So if you want to hear more, then the talkSPORT Daily is available on all podcast platforms now. Still one game to go. We bring it to you live on talkSPORT tonight. Sunderland versus Everton. Friend of the show, podcaster Andy Dawson, and Sunderland fan, joining us for a chat later on. Yeah, two managers lost their jobs at the weekend. We'll be chatting about both of them. We'll kick off with Will Still. We'll be talking a bit of Southampton and what happened from his point of view very shortly. That's after Tom Clayton with the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. Scunthorpe United have confirmed a player of theirs as one of the 10 victims of a knife attack on a train in Cambridgeshire on Saturday evening. Jonathan Ghosh suffered non-life-threatening injuries but currently remains in hospital. 32-year-old Anthony Williams has been remanded in custody, charged with 10 counts of attempts of murder, and also was charged after a separate knife attack on London's DLR just hours before. Now we're told Gary O'Neill's looking for a Wolves contract that runs beyond the end of this season, and O'Neill is the favourite to take over despite his sacking 11 months ago. Our reporter Ben Jacobs says the ball's in O'Neill's court if he wants to go back.
If he does so, the expectation is that Sean Derry would also join him as well. But it's going to be whether or not O'Neill is somebody that Wolves feel can not only get them out of trouble, but if the parties were also to agree something longer term.
Vitor Pereira was sacked with Wolves still winless this season in the Premier League. Now Steve Bruce is siding with the Spurs players who blanked their manager. Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence stormed straight past Thomas Frank after losing at home to Chelsea. Here's what Steve's told White and Jordan.
If I've been beaten and I've played badly, the one thing I don't want to do is want to just get off, get into the dressing room and have a pop at a few. You know, that's all you want to do. You don't want to go around. How can you go around the supporters when you've played so badly, lost a derby game?
Frank says he understands the players' frustration. The Hearts striker Lawrence Shankland's earned a Scotland recall for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers against Greece and Denmark. Hibs forward Kieran Bowie misses out, while Falkirk's Scott Bain replaces the injured keeper Angus Gunn. And Martin O'Neill insists he's not spoken to Celtic Sport about staying on a bit longer as manager.
I'm quite sure that they would have thoughts in their head about who they might want to take over. I don't know that there. I haven't discussed that with them, and that's still, seriously, Jim, that remains the position.
O'Neill did admit at the weekend he'd like to take Celtic into the Scottish League Cup final after beating Rangers in extra time. There's more on that at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Just to reiterate, that man's been charged with 10 counts of attempts of murder over the knife attack on a train in Cambridgeshire on Saturday. And Nigel Farage has given his first major speech on what reform would do with the economy. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Cloudy with outbreaks of rain, that rain heaviest across the west. Sunnier spells across the southeast of England and northeast of Scotland. Very mild and quite windy.
Autumn International's review on talkSPORT with Funding Circle. Business finance that backs you. Find out more at fundingcircle.com.
It's interesting weekend's rugby union. Let's recap the weekend's Autumn International action with Funding Circle. talkSPORT's rugby correspondent Alfie Reynolds has all the details.
So, England's November 12 months on from when they were consistent.
Or maybe he doesn't. We'll try and bring that to you.
I thought there was something wrong with the volume of my headphones.
No, I wondered why you were hurriedly turning. You thought you'd gone deaf, didn't you?
Yeah, I turned it right up.
No, it's okay.
Thanks.
We had a technical issue, obviously, and we will try and bring you. Oh, we can do it now. Take it away, Alfie.
So, England's November is up and running after they defeated Australia at Twickenham. They pulled away in the final 20 minutes, 12 months on from when they were consistently losing close games. So, was this a sign of England's progression?
I think the team's developing well and it's heading in that direction. There's a number of factors that come to finishing those games off, and I think the experience, and unfortunately you want progress, you want to flick a switch and win. Now sometimes you go through some painful experiences, sometimes you go through those tough ones, but this is a squad that's eager to learn. So we'll address those issues we can learn from, and there'll be plenty out there today that when we review it that we could do better. So the aim is to be a better team next Saturday.
Those were the thoughts of the England head coach Steve Borthwick, and I think that whilst it wasn't a perfect performance yesterday against Australia at Twickenham, it does show how England are developing and the strength and depth they now have in the squad. Luke Cowan-Dickie was one of 6 British and Irish Lions that they brought off the bench. He scored a try on his 50th appearance for England to help win the game, and he explained to me afterwards there's a real unity amongst this current England squad.
This is probably the best buy-in we've had from everyone. I was on the bench tonight, whether I was travelling or starting, it would have been no different from me, and it was no different from the boys who weren't playing. I would say they out-trained us this week. They prepared us probably the best they could have for this week, and I think it definitely showed when it got tight. Like I said, we come out of an arm wrestle and got the victory, so it was good.
There we are. Thank you, Alfie. Yeah, real turnaround in fortune for Steve Borthwick, the England coach. We'll be building up, of course, the games next weekend. But for now, that was our recap of the weekend's autumn international action with Funding Circle.
Autumn International's review on talkSPORT with Funding Circle. We make your finance goals our business. Find out more at fundingcircle.com.
2 high-profile sackings in the world of football at the weekend. We're going to talk to Dave Edwards, the former Wolves midfielder, about Vitor Pereira and the possible return of Gary O'Neill later on in the show. But now we turn to Will Steele at Southampton. He did such a great job at Lens.
It's really surprised that this has happened, isn't it?
A really interesting appointment, but after 5 months in charge, he has gone. They're 21st in the table. Saints, 12 points after 13 games, won 2 in the league. Drawn
a lot against, haven't they?
Well, let's talk to Martin Saunders. He is from the Total Saints podcast, and he knows a lot better than us because he watches the team every week. Hey, Martin.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I'm a big fan, so to sit here on your show is brilliant. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you joining us and give us an expert take, because we can all conjecture, and I can sit here and say, Will Steele was a bold appointment. I think he's a great young coach and he'll come again, but you watch it week in, week out. What did you make of the job he was doing? And you sad, surprised or delighted that he's gone?
I'm gutted for him, actually. I really liked him. I have a fan channel, Football Martin, and I had the pleasure of sitting down and interviewing the manager early on this year, and I really enjoyed my time with him. I thought he came across really well, and he had great vision. He's obviously young, and he's worked really hard to get to where he got to, and I really wanted it to work for him. And it was always going to be a tough gig because of what had gone on before at the football club, and it's not just about they've gone through so many managers. The football club's gone through a huge change. Our academy's not produced a great deal of players in a long period of time. And when your academy's not producing loads of players, you need to have really good recruitment. They brought Johannes Spors in he appointed Will Steele. It was his choice, from what I'm led to believe. He came in and he was in the building in February, March time. He wanted to get rid of Ivan Juric. He headed a lot of this up, and he's got to take a huge amount of responsibility. I think Will Steele was a brave appointment. It was really brave, and he had a big dressing room to deal with as well. A lot of big egos in that dressing room. A lot of players that have been around the game for a while, and it was always going to be a battle to win some of those over, I believe.
What are those big egos based on? It can't be the way they played last season, surely. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they down tools on him. They massively down tools on him. A lot of the players did it, in my opinion. From what I saw at the weekend, it was really poor. He had to make some big decisions because at Hull City away, around 6 weeks ago, we were beaten really badly there. We were really, really poor. Harwell Bellis, he's played for England. England under-21 international, didn't have a great day. The club captain, Jack Stevens, didn't have a great day. And he was brave, Will. He dropped them from the side. Flynn Downs has hardly featured this season, a player that had been massive for us in our previous championship campaign, a big voice on the pitch. He dropped him as well. So he made brave decisions. And unfortunately, since that result, really, I kind of felt that there was a bit of a turn. There was a bit of a change in the way that we were playing football. We've got a lot of young players, but you need leaders on the field. I don't necessarily feel he's been back with leaders. Oria Romeo's without a football club, and he has been for a while. He was on one of the Saints channels the other day on their club's official outlet on one of their podcasts. I'm thinking to myself, he's on the podcast. Why is he not in the building? This is a leader. We need leaders in the dressing room. We haven't had that. There was a fans forum, guys, at the start of the season. The board sat there. Phil Parsons, the CEO of the club. The manager wasn't there because he had personal reasons on the day. I watched it back today, actually. You also had Johannes Spors, who's the sporting director. He was brought in to oversee the football inside at the football club, to bring the players in. Like I said, there was a bit of a gap because the academy was not producing, other than maybe Tyler and young Robinson that's come through. So recruitment was key in the summer. And there's certain areas of the team that just haven't been recruited well enough. You've got a manager that wants to play with a target man, a striker, yet they brought in a young lad from Germany who's 21 years old, very inexperienced, to lead the line when they come out as an ownership group and wanted promotion back to the Premier League. And they were very clear in that. But you've recruited a young man to play up top that just isn't good enough. The recruitment just hasn't been good enough. And people were looking to say who takes accountability, who takes accountability, because the fans are pointing the fingers at the ownership group. The owner, Dragan Solak, is in his board are taking a huge amount of stick. But it's difficult, isn't it? You have to be careful what you wish for, because you have to have a buyer, and everybody wants them out, but who's going to buy it?
So who next then, finally, Martin? I mean, I see Russell Martin is number one in... I mean, what's going on in the world today? We got managers going back like nothing's happened.
But he was good when they were in the, championship last time, but...
I mean, how do you feel? Who would you like to see? Have you given any thought to who you'd like to see again? If it was Russell Martin, how do you feel about that?
No, I'm not against Russell Martin by any stretch of imagination. It would break the Saints fan base, and the fan base, by the way, down here is absolutely broken to pieces. Wow. They're so split. A lot was split on Will Steele. I like Russell. He did a brilliant job when he was here. The players reportedly are coming out. I saw Alex Crook's report yesterday. The players will be very keen to see the return of Russell Martin. They've already got 2 managers out. Could they get a manager back in? He would definitely unite the dressing room, not the fan base.
Interesting.
For me, Frank Lampard would be the one, but getting in from Coventry, I think, would be very difficult.
The way he's going at the moment at Cov, the timing, I think, is against you. Martin, appreciate your time. All the best. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Martin Sanders there from the Football Martin podcast and Total Saints with his take on Will Steele. We will ask Andy Brassel a little bit later on whether a return to France could be imminent, because he did a brilliant job while he was there. Shabana Hearn joins us. As you're probably aware, Mary Earps' book caused a fair bit of controversy, certainly over her comments about Hannah Hampton. You'll hear a chat with Leanne Sanderson in the Women's Football Show tonight. But Shaban's got her take on it, and she'll be joining us for a chat very shortly. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT, and it is our biggest competition yet, and time is running out, Andy Jacobs. Just 1 week to go until the lines close for your chance to play to win up to £100,000. That's right, £100,000 completely tax-free. If you're the lucky winner, getting the call next Thursday, you'll be heading to talkSPORT Towers on Thursday, the 13th of November, to play for that life-changing cash prize. Here's how to enter, and good luck.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a TalkSPORT limited promotion run on TalkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
So the winner coming in on a Thursday, we're going to have to play you in the birthday spread to win the £100,000.
What about that? The pressure. The pressure.
Come on, laugh at my jokes. It's only £100,000.
Play Charlie if they really want the money. Play Max, who might as well just give them the money without playing. Anyway, there's been a lot of noise around the former Lionesses keeper Mary Earps' new book, mainly around some comments around Hannah Hampton and some fallout with Serena Wiegman around Hannah Hampton, where she felt when she got a recall, it was, in her words, rewarding bad behaviour. Leanne Sanderson's going to be chatting to her for the Women's Football Show live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. You'll be able to hear that this evening and on the app. It should be a very interesting chat. Let's get the thoughts now of our very own Shaban Ahern. Hi, Shaban.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, good, thank you. I mean, Don McRae, as he often does, has cut through the noise. Very interesting, sort of nuanced piece he'd written. And it covers a lot more ground than this. But obviously, when you're selling a book, these are the sort of stories that create the headlines. The only feeling, we were chatting about this earlier, I don't know how you feel, if you're going to make it kind of, if you like an accusation that someone had in the past had been a bit of a bad apple, you kind of need to know what they did. And in that sort of vacuum of information, it does sound a bit sour grapes, so maybe she needs to tell us more. And I kind of feel for Hannah Hampton a bit. I do wonder whether she needs to come out and say, yeah, maybe I did make some mistakes. I was a kid, but I've changed now and I've got a second chance. But it'll be interesting.
I think not saying it is the worst thing. And also, then coming out and saying, oh, it's people pitting women against women. You think, well, you started it. You brought this up.
Yeah.
You know, and then when people have reacted badly, you react like that. I thought playing that card was a bit off. Anyway, Shaban, your view.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take sides in any of this, but it is fascinating how it's all come about. When Hannah Hampton was left out of one of the squads in 2022, Serena Wiegman had said that she has to go, was it working on maturity, that kind of stuff. It's not the first time it had happened, because you take yourself back to when Hannah Hampton was at Aston Villa. Carla Ward had also left her out of one of the squads one day as well, one of the playing days in WSL. So I think Mary has a point. You're right. Now she's thrown it out there that there was this bad behaviour. Well, what kind of bad behaviour are you talking about? Now, this is Mary's book. This is Mary's autobiography. I would say right now the timing of it doesn't look good, but she's striking while the iron's hot, whilst she's probably going to make more money off the back of everything and where women's football's at and the involvement that she's had and why she decided to step back when she did. At the moment, there's a lot of people rallying around Hannah Hampton, a lot of people supporting her, making sure she's okay, saying that Mary's better, all of that kind of thing. This is Mary's book. It's Mary's point of view. She's entitled to have that. Don't think it's the best look for her, but I don't think Mary's wrong.
No, I mean, look, as you said,
that might be the point, but she's critical of Serena Wiegmann as well, and Sonia Bompastor,
yeah.
Also defending her. She would expect her to defend Hampton, but, she's saying also that she should say what it is. She should come out and say what it is.
Is there a feeling, you're in and around women's football, your sister's a pro and everything, so is there a feeling that she did some growing up? Maybe she'd be the first to admit that and became a different person, which is Serena Wiegmann saw a change and brought her back because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon Hannah will just keep quiet on all of this and it'll just fuel her some more, to be honest. She's just been recognised as the best in the world. She's been up there doing speeches at the Ballon d'Or. She's absolutely at the top of the game. Nobody is trying to take away how good Hannah is as a player. I think it's that kind of disruption that may come along with Hannah Hampton. Now, I've not heard any of this since she joined Chelsea. But before Emma Hayes took her under her wing, there were things often heard about Hannah Hampton and the way she portrayed herself in games, in dressing rooms and in meetings. You're right, my sister is in women's football. She played with Hannah at Birmingham and at Aston Villa. And I asked her just before I came on to have this chat with you, she'd mentioned in the past, Hannah was hard work was her way of saying it. Unbelievable talent, just unbelievable. Nobody like her, but she was a pain in the backside was her way of putting it.
I think it's a shame from Mary Earps.
Again, and was she one of those people that would call out other players in a dressing room? Because Hannah Hampton has said, we had different views on what constitutes a good teammate, paraphrasing what she says. So maybe she was someone who, if you like, had high standards and was prepared to call people out. That doesn't always sit well, does it? It doesn't sit well in men's football as well as women's football. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Well, Mary's obviously got some confidence in herself and, I think she is one of those people and that she's absolutely spilled her heart and soul into women's football. And if she sees somebody who is maybe not making life easy for everybody, maybe in international camps and causing a bit of friction or being quite difficult to work with. Bear in mind, the goalkeepers union is a small group.
Sure.
So if you've got, Hannah, Mary and one or two others and training is becoming really difficult because of one individual. I mean, this is what I think Mary's alluding to. I've not heard any other keepers yet come out and defend Hannah and say, yes, she's an absolute joy to work with. Yeah. Have you?
No, they're supposed to work as a group, and if she's selfish, that's not great.
Yeah,
but I just think
it doesn't sound like it's still going on, though, does it? It doesn't sound like it's still an issue.
I think this stopped when maybe she went in with Emma Hayes at Chelsea. I think maybe Emma Hayes gets the best out of everyone, doesn't she? And probably thought, I'm not taking any of this. If there was something, and it sounds like she's wised up as well, because Serena left her out of a camp. Unbelievable player. Nobody's taking that away from her. This is Mary's version of events, what she struggled with, why Serena made her decision she didn't agree with. Mary's telling her side of the story. It's just, this is just gone full gossip, and it really gets people interested in the media, all kind of hyped up because it's women's football and the way it's at. I heard a former pro there talking about how this should have been kept in the dressing room. We should be talking about how games are played and goals scored and all of the positives. This is really negative that this has come out and been leaked out of what should be a private kind of place to be. This is really disappointing. I'm also like, well, do you know what? Mary Earps has absolutely changed the landscape for goalkeepers. We're all forgetting about that.
Yeah.
But it's a shame from her point of view because
there's an awful lot of good stuff in the book and a lot of personal stuff.
She was a hero. She was Sports Personality of the Year. She was really the minute she pulled out of that squad, it just looked bad. Whether she had good reasons or not.
Well, that's one of the reasons she's written the book, because she had lots of people saying that she flounced and she couldn't deal with being number two, and she takes that head on, and she talks about the fact that she was a bit surprised that that's what people thought of her. So it's a very personal book, as you said, beyond all the noise. And let's be honest, publishing companies, this is manna from heaven for them. This is what sells books. The idea this is leaked out and wasn't leaked out. You know, so I mean, look, there's other stuff in the book, but this has become the headline, and understandably so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this sells. It really does. I'm buying a book. You know, I already think I know things, but I'm buying the book. I want to hear Mary's version of events. At the same time, you know, what Hannah did at the Euros, I don't know if Mary could have done it in the end. You know, Mary's probably looking and went, I just won the European Championships for us in 2022. She was a big part of that. Huge character, you know, massive character in the team. I've not heard one teammate say anything bad about Mary Earps. And then you look at what happened in the World Cup final and the journey there. You know, it's incredible now that it's all come down to this. But I think she's tried to tell her side of the story and make people understand. But if you're not going to back it up, and if you're not going to offer, here's where it all went wrong for me when Hannah did this, that, the next thing, you know, then everyone's just going to go, well, you just seem really, really bitter. And I don't think she is that person. I think I think the timing's out. I think she could have been advised better on this, Mary. Yeah. Maybe an apology will go a long way on this. Yep. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Either way, we're all reading the book.
Maybe the editor could have said, look, you know, this is what could happen unless you specify what these issues were. It could. Anyway, we're all great in hindsight. Thanks, Shaban. We'll catch up with you soon.
Guys, take care. Have a good day.
Take care. There's Shabana Hearn there with her thoughts on the Mary Earps.
You just end up thinking, oh, how bad could it have been? You know, it just seems much. It can't have been that bad, can it? I mean,
everybody's like Shaban there and her sister saying she could be, or which it could be. I mean, you kind of need
a bit hinting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you kind of need some. You kind of need to know exactly what it was, and everybody then can make their own minds up. But that's ultimately up to Hannah Hampton. She's the only one who could give her side of the story, which I kind of sense she might, but we'll see. So you can hear from Mary Earps herself, Willie Ann Sanderson, on the Women's Football Show tonight on talkSPORT 2 from 7 o'clock. If you can't listen live, you can download the podcast after the show on the talkSPORT app. We're going to talk boxing next. Very contentious result up in Manchester in our live boxing at the weekend. Zach Parker versus Joshua Barazzi. Zach was in with Jim and Simon and the gang and with Spencer. Spencer's going to pop. We're going to look at the anatomy of an appeal. What happens when there is a fight, that one fighter feels completely sawn off, as Zach certainly did. I briefly spoke to him in the green room here, and he looked a pretty broken man. So we'll catch up with Spencer Oliver. And John Smith pops in, author of Escape, a love letter to a football cult classic. Yes, the old 80s football movie, Escape to Victory.
We're told Gary O'Neill's looking for a Wolves contract that runs beyond the end of this season. And O'Neill is the favourite to take over from Victor Pereira, despite his sacking 11 months ago. Our reporter Ben Jacobs says the ball's in O'Neill's court if he wants to go back.
If he does so, the expectation is that Sean Derry would also join him as well. But it's going to be whether or not O'Neill is somebody that Wolves feel can not only get them out of trouble, but if the parties were also to agree something longer term.
Vitor Pereira was sacked with Wolves still winless this season. Now, Steve Bruce is siding with the Spurs players who blanked their manager. Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence stormed straight past Thomas Frank after losing at home to Chelsea. Here's what Steve's told White and Jordan.
If I've been beaten and I've played badly, the one thing I don't want to do is I want to just get off, get into the dressing room and have a pop at a few. You know, that's all you want to do. You don't want to go around. How can you go around the supporters when you've played so badly, lost a derby game?
And Martin O'Neill insists he's not spoken to Celtic's board about staying on a little bit longer as manager. The 73-year-old did admit at the weekend he'd like to take the squad into the Scottish League Cup final after beating Rangers in extra time. More at talksport.com.
Brought you more live boxing at the weekend up in Manchester. Joshua Bratzi beat the British light heavyweight Zach Parker, who was in with Jim and Simon and our next guest Spencer Oliver and Steve Bruce a little bit earlier on. Absolutely fuming after the controversial decision. The feeling was certainly by our team that he had won the fight. And yes, let's hear from Zach Parker what he had to say about the decision.
Proper robbed. I was obviously, we had in our head that we was winning, and I was cruising. To be fair, he couldn't catch me. I was quick on my feet, and obviously when I heard the draw in the first one, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to get robbed here. So yeah, and then see what happened next.
So Zach, today, even this Monday lunchtime, you are adamant you won the fight.
Yeah, 100%. You see like everyone online, everyone's talking about it, that I got robbed, and we had a game plan going in, and you could see with Josh's style, he's quite flat-footed. Wants you'd stay in the middle of him, and what I had to do is move my feet and outbox him, and I feel like I've done that.
There we are. That was Zach Parker chatting to Jim Simon and the guys a little bit earlier on. Spencer Oliver was part of that conversation, has popped in to see us. Hi, Spencer.
How are we, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, you were there with us. You were working on the fight. What was your take on it? Did you think Zach had won as well?
Look, Zach Parker was going in an overwhelming underdog into the fight. You know, we thought that Joshua Boazzi, he was coming off that loss back in February to Callum Smith, and you go, how was that going to affect him? It was his first loss, you know, and that can be the moulding of a fighter. You know, the rebuild is something that we needed to see, and we didn't see it from Joshua Boazzi. I thought he looked, Boazzi, we thought he looked very slow. He was ponderous with his jab, and he was getting into range. And for me, Zach Parker, look, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't a pretty fight to watch. You know, he kept collapsing on the floor, Zach Parker, but he said, I was going to do that because Boazzi was leaning on me. I didn't want to get myself tired off. So if I went down, it's the referee's duty to then say, don't do it anymore, or are you going to deduct points? The referee didn't do that. He allowed the fight to continue. So he had a game plan and it worked for him. I thought he was very unfortunate not to get the decision. I think Boakye boxed well below par, but that was taking nothing away from Zach Parker, who, for me, boxed the perfect fight, the perfect game plan, and he run away the winner for me. And I think that was not just me. I think it was pretty much everybody that was there thought the same thing. I think the only three people that didn't think that were the two judges that went 95-95 a draw, and one judge went 96-94 in favour of Joshua Boakye. So I think he felt very hard done by. We all felt that he was very hard done by as well. And look, we're talking about a guy, he come down here today, his wife's pregnant, he's got a little child as well, and you go, this is a game of snakes and ladders, and if you lose at this sort of level, for the winner, it was the opportunity to possibly fight the winner of Anthony Yard versus David Benavidez, who are fighting on November the 22nd for a world title, and the winner would possibly fight him.
Yeah.
So there was a lot at stake here, and for the loser, how is the rebuild? He's 31 years of age now, so that's all been taken away from him. We're talking about financial security for your family and whatnot. And if you win the fight, it should be that you win the fight. And I think that, I felt sorry for him because he was very hard done by it. He deserved the opportunity, and that's sort of been taken away from him.
Is this a bit Dave Allen, Johnny Fisher, Spencer? I mean, I said to when I popped in and saw you and spoke to Zach before, I said, you're going to get a rematch. He said, I don't know. I mean, it feels like if with enough noise around this, that there's a possibility he could get another shot, but that might not fit the narrative. Now it is Boakye in the next big fight.
Well, the possibility is he could get the rematch, but likely he won't get the rematch, and that's because Boakye is sort of world ranked, and he's got his eye now on this fight happening on November the 22nd. But you look at it and go, well, Boakye he put in a below par performance, and let's say, if Anthony Yard wins, then Boakye and Anthony Yard have history, so that fight you could make and it could commercially make sense. If David Benavidez wins, you go, then it's a tougher sell because Boakye's been beat by Callum Smith, below par performance against Zach Parker, where we all thought he lost that fight, and then he goes in a world title fight. So it's a difficult sell. You had Lyndon Arthur boxing Brad Ray on the undercard of that fight as well, and you looked at that and you go, you know what, that was a good fight. Lyndon Arthur picked up the European light heavyweight title, so the opportunity might arise off the back of the loss here to Zach Parker. You go Zach Parker versus Lyndon Arthur European title, so he may get something from it because, you look at it and you go, he deserves another opportunity.
Yeah,
and it's where does that opportunity come from? So yeah. Who knows what will happen, but he deserves something out of it.
And they've appealed, haven't they? His camp have appealed. But, I mean, what sort of form does that take, and what do you think is... I mean, what would they do after an appeal? If they'd look at the scorecards again, they speak to the judges, what do they do?
Well, you know what? You go back to remember when Jack Catterall boxed Josh Taylor up in Scotland many years ago, and I thought he won 9 of the 3 rounds and he didn't get the decision. Of course, they appealed it. They didn't get the immediate rematch because the fight fell through, and both guys went on to do what they do. They eventually won, and Catterall won the fight. They eventually got it back again. But I suppose if there's enough noise around it, they will look at it and maybe do something. But Joshua Boakye's just signed a new deal with Queensbury Promotions now, which is Frank Warren. Frank Warren's obviously, a big player in the game now. So
what did Frank say after the fight?
Well, I've not spoke to Frank. Frank wasn't there, so George Warren was up there. I think Frank... Zach Parker said Frank's going to actually comment on it on Tuesday, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes from there. Look, if he doesn't get the Boakye rematch, you'd like to see him get something out of it. And like I say, Lyndon Arthur comes to mind because he's now the new European champion. You go, but he deserves something out of it because these guys get in the ring, they put their lives on the line for us to enjoy watching them fight, and it's a dangerous sport. And you go, when it's like that and the decision doesn't go your way when it should have gone your way, you'd like to see him get something out of it because it is about the family securing things for their family. So he deserves something from it. He's a nice guy.
Yeah,
well, you get the sense though that Boakye knew that he hadn't won the fight when you read his quote afterwards.
Do you know what, Andy? And I'm glad you said that because if you look at body language, if you read body language, when the two guys were in the centre of the ring and the MC has called out 95-95. 95-95. You look at it and go, oh, please don't let it be a draw.
Yeah.
But Boakye's there thinking, and then when he calls out 96-94, you think, body language, Boakye didn't look like he thought he'd got it. And Zach Parker was there with his hand in the air and he was there waiting for, announce my name, and it didn't go his way. So, yeah.
You had him winning by a couple of rounds. You didn't have him winning by a massive margin.
No, I had him winning by a couple of rounds. I thought he was doing it, and there was a couple of swing rounds in there as well. He could have gone one way or the other, but there was only one winner for me, that is for sure, and that was, it was not an attractive fight to watch for so many reasons. The styles didn't gel, but there was only one winner for me, and that was Zach Parker. So, like, look, if they would have drawn it off, you go, do you know what? I feel sorry for the kid, and he's like, but they've drawn it off, and they can do it again or whatever. But the fact that he lost, I think that was the bitter pill to swallow.
Just very quickly, we had a chat with Liam Cameron last week. It was great fun, and I looked out for it, and I was chuffed to see he got a result. So what could be down the road for him? Because he's had some big fights, and he's had some notorious fights when both men fell out the ring, of course, a little while ago.
Yes, he did. And Liam Cameron put in a great performance actually against Troy Jones. It was a tough fight. It was a fight that he come from behind, but he showed his experience. He grinded it out. It was a tight decision, and he got it, but he was a deserved winner, and he puts himself still back in that mix. You know, with the light heavyweights at the moment, not just here, but like globally, it's one of the strongest divisions right now. You know, you look at the names that are in there, so there's opportunity for all these guys. That's why I say, look, we hope Zach gets another opportunity. You know, Joshua Boyce is now going to get that opportunity, possibly for a world title shot. But Liam Cameron's a tremendous story. It really is. The rebound and the bounce back from the troubles that he had so many years ago, and the way he's pulled himself back is very inspirational. And you go, he puts himself in the mix, which is great.
Yeah, we've got Eubank Ben 2 coming up. We're delighted to say we're going to be able to bring you that fight on talkSPORT.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks off. Very exciting.
Can't wait for it. You know, I think if we watch the last one, we saw the dramas. The build-up was fantastic. We're going to get that again this week for sure. Or, sorry, next week for sure. The build-up is going to be brilliant. Both guys playing that psychological stuff, trying to get inside each other's minds and whatnot. The family history between the two is absolutely brilliant. The fight excelled itself in many ways because a lot of people thought Eubank would be too big, too good. Conor Prem proved that he deserved to be in there. And it's a great fight. It really is. Bomac in the corner now, the trainer who was with Terence Crawford and come up with that master plan for Terence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez last time out. You look at that and you go, that's a massive plus for Chris Eubank. And if he gets the weight right, you would suspect that he wins a fight. But at this stage of his career, you never quite know because Conor's improving all the time. Is Eubank? I'm not sure. But we've got a great undercard there as well with Jack Catchell versus Echo Esserman, Sam Gilly versus Ishmael Davis, and Richard Riakporhe takes on Tommy Welch as well. So good undercard, great fight, and a great show.
Excellent. We'll be building up that. Thank you, Spencer. Thanks for popping in. Spencer's part of the Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan and Paul Smith. Is out today at 8 p.m. on the TalkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. This Saturday, the WBC interim £154 title is on the line in Texas. It's undefeated KO machine Virgil Ortiz Jr. faces off with a counter-punching technician Erickson Lubin. Watch live this Saturday, only on DAZN.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
kind of sounds familiar, but it isn't that one. It's the other one. Yeah, it's not The Great Escape. It's Escape to Victory. Maybe not quite as iconic a theme, but still a great film. And whenever it's on, I find myself getting sucked into it again. Although I've not seen it as many times as our next guest, who has written the book Escape, a love letter to a cult football classic. That brilliant old sort of war/football movie of the early 80s. John Smith has joined us. Hello, John.
Hello there. Thanks for having me.
Right, John?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen it?
Oh, I reckon it must be. I reckon it was probably a good, in the 20s already.
Before you
and
started
then for
writing
this,
the book. Yeah.
obviously a lot more.
You could probably act out as a one-man show.
Yeah, I've seen that DVD menu once or twice.
How does it? I mean, what is it about the film that sort of inspired you to write the book?
Well, one thing I'm not sure it gets the love it quite deserves. I mean, everybody's sort of fond of it, but there was a time there when people didn't talk about it, and then it was really popular.
Yeah.
Sort of 90s Lad Mag sort of picked it up, fantasy football kind of picked it up, and then it sort of fell away again. And I think that sort of there's an abiding opinion at the moment that it's not as good. It's a bit of a joke to some people, but I genuinely love it. That's why it's called a love letter, because there's no irony about it at all. I just absolutely love it. Like the first chapter's about sort of how I came to it as a kid, and I just love it.
It's a strange movie, isn't it? I mean, they built this incredible cast with Sly Stallone and Pele and all, John Walk and Ozzy Ardiles. It's a Michael Caine. John Huston directed it, the manager of the Maltese Falcon, Treasure Sierra Madre. I mean, it's an odd choice for a sort of football film, wasn't it?
It's really odd. It's things like that once I started digging into it, because obviously I knew that he'd done it, and I know other films that he's done, but you dig into it, and because he's in another film with Pele, he's in another football film with Pele a couple of years later where he's just acting.
Wow.
So he must have been a little bit interested, although stories that he's not necessarily. But the director of Where Eagles Dare was originally slated to do it, which also seems like a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
But
we were assuming maybe a bit too much knowledge. There may be some of our younger members of our audience who hopefully will go and watch it.
It does say that in the book, so you get more out of the book if you watch the film first.
Give us
there's a bit of a spoiler warning there.
Yeah,
the whole book.
I don't think you can say sport. If they're buying a book about the film, I'm guessing they've seen the film. So give us a brief synopsis of the story, John.
Of the film. So broadly speaking, it starts out as footballers, prisoners of war are playing football in the camp. A German officer visits, sees them playing, proposes a game between the guards and the players. And then because he's a German propaganda minister, the whole thing gets blown up into what becomes this showpiece game in Paris, which is the German team against the best of the Allies. And it turns into that. So
and as we said, it built this stellar cast of football. A lot of Ipswich players at the time. And so in some cases, football doubles like Paul Cooper and Kevin Beattie, Alan Brazil's old teammate, all featured in the movie. Was Alan ever asked? Did you ever find out where Alan was?
Yes, he had two chances actually, because one or two people claim that they could have been in it, including Rod Stewart. Oddly, not sure what Rod Stewart would have been doing in it, but he claims that he was asked. But Alan would have had two chances because of the Ipswich connection. All the Ipswich players were just brought in and sat down. And then they had another sweep because the Scotland team were in Hungary at the time. And a few of them were asked. So, he had a couple of bites at it, but he
didn't fancy it. Didn't fancy a couple of weeks on the lash in Budapest.
Yeah,
I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised.
He might not have wanted to get his hair cut.
Yeah, that's true,
Yeah, that's true. The cover of the book is the sort of iconic shirt that the players wear.
Yeah, that was a breaker. The shirt was.
Yes.
I wonder if some of these must have gone to auction at some point. I'd imagine.
Yeah, one or two of the players have still got them. So I spoke to almost everybody involved.
Do we know who designed that shirt?
I don't, I never got to the bottom of that. But both shirts are really nice.
Yeah, I mean, the idea they were going to play away.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the blue with the white and red stripe.
Well, that's the goalkeeper.
Oh, that's the goalkeeper.
The blue one's the goalkeeper.
So there wasn't a away
the German kit is also nice, apart from the badge, obviously.
Yeah.
But that aside, there's a couple of nice kits there.
But to think that two of the greatest players of all time are in the team, Bobby Moore and Pele. It's an amazing thing, actually.
I think that's what drew me to it. I can remember vividly seeing the box in the video shop, and I knew who Sylvester Stallone was because I'd seen Rocky, and I recognised Michael Caine from a couple of films at that point, and then Pele's in the middle of it. And immediately, What's not to
What were the biggest surprises then, John, as you did the research? Just loving the film and then actually really going deep into it.
The biggest thing after repeated watching is that there's a player in it who just disappears halfway through.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
There's a French character called Jean-Paul, and he's played by a French actor called Benoit Farreau, and he's there. When the players arrive in the truck from the camp, he's there. You can see him in a couple of the training sequences.
Yeah.
And then he just disappears. He gets on the train going to the match, and then when they get off in Paris, he's just not there, and it's never mentioned.
Blimey.
I spoke to some.
Well, there was a war on.
Well,
exactly. Who knows?
I mean, I like to. I like to think he got away.
Maybe he
but the
escaped.
story of that is all in there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and the players that you've spoken to some of the players along the way.
Yeah, I spoke to Russell Osman first. Went up and sat down with him. He was really helpful in getting others as well. I think once I'd spoken to him and he could see,
it was coming from a good place.
Yeah, coming from a good
you were
place.
a fan.
Yeah.
I didn't realise Halvar Torrenson was a member of the team. That he's, of course, one hell of a beating.
Oh yes, that your commentator.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Where would
so
Jason
aside from
Cundy be without him?
Yeah. So here tonight.
So aside from the Ipswich lads, Russell got me to Halvar Torrenson. Halvar Torrenson got me to Soren Lindstedt, who's the Danish player in the film.
Brilliant.
I was able to Ozzy Ardiles. I spoke to Mike Summerby.
And has it made you appreciate it more than ever before?
Yeah,
Can you watch it? Do you watch it with a slightly jaundiced eye now, knowing all the background?
No. I might need to give it a rest, but I'm sure when it's on again at Christmas, by the time it comes round again at Christmas, I'll give it another
Yeah.
watch.
Well, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it because it is. I mean, it is great. You've got all these pros in it. It's a great story. And I read a book recently with Michael Caine talking about his career, and he talks about being in the film. So
he talks very fondly of it.
He does. He's got happy memories of. I think. The crack, really, being around all these.
Yeah, they must have got it.
And they did. They sort of went on the lash in Budapest for a couple of months,
absolutely.
didn't they? They had a very good time.
You've got this picture, the team photo. He's got Ozzy Ardiles, Michael Caine, Pele, and Bobby Moore. I mean, not bad. In the middle. I heard how big an actor you are. That's going to impress you.
I heard more than once that the actors were there wanted to be footballers, and the footballers wanted to be actors.
Yeah, I can see that.
About right.
Yeah.
Everybody had a lovely time.
The book's called Escape, a love letter to a cult football classic by John Smith. It's published by Pitch, and it is out now in hardback. Good to see you, John, and after a West Ham win.
Oh, yeah, something to get excited about.
Yeah.
Looking up.
Yeah, that's it. It's the big turnaround. Thanks, John. All the best.
Thanks very much for having me.
Go and check it out. Go and check out the film and then read the book, Escape. It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We're going to be talking to Dave Edwards, former Wolves midfielder. Looks like Gary O'Neill could be on his way back after Vita Pereira was sacked. Still a game to come tonight. Sunderland, Everton live on talkSPORT. And Andy Dawson, podcaster and Sunderland fan, joining us for a chat in the next hour. Ahead of our commentary game tomorrow night, Spurs Copenhagen in the Champions League, Thomas Frank has been giving quite a spiky press conference. We'll bring you a couple of cuts from that very, very shortly. Tom Clayton, though, has the sports headlines now.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. And starting with that, Thomas Frank says both Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence have apologised after storming off on Saturday evening. The pair both went down the tunnel despite their manager telling them to applaud the fans after defeat to Chelsea. Frank has spoken this afternoon.
That was not their intention at all towards me or the team or the club. They were just frustrated with the performance, the loss and the booing during the game.
They take on Copenhagen in the Champions League tomorrow evening, live here on talkSPORT. Arsenal are away at Sparta Prague, live at 5:45 on talkSPORT 2. Scunthorpe United have confirmed a player of theirs was one of the 10 victims of a knife attack on a train in Cambridgeshire on Saturday. Jonathan Gyosha suffered non-life-threatening injuries but remains in hospital. 32-year-old Anthony Williams has been remanded in custody, charged with 10 counts of attempted murder, was also charged after a separate knife attack on London's DLR just hours before. Meanwhile, police have confirmed they're investigating after a Premier League footballer was threatened with a gun in London. It happened late on the evening of the 6th of September, and officials say the accused, a football agent, has been bailed. Elsewhere today, a win tonight takes Sunderland second in the Premier League after just 10 games. They're taking on Everton live and exclusively on talkSPORT, and David Moyes says the teams that have come up this season have been a breath of fresh air and all could well stay up.
I think that Sunderland, Leeds, Burnley are all doing that at the moment, and over recent years it's not been easy for the promoted teams to do that, but this year they're having a right good go at it.
You can get all the latest on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Well, police think 3 knife-related attacks in Peterborough could be linked to the mass stabbing on a train on Saturday. And a pregnant British teenager accused of drug smuggling has been freed early from jail in Georgia. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Rain or shine, our mobile tyre fitting service comes to you, so you can stay on the sofa this winter. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Cloudy with outbreaks of rain, that's heaviest of that across the west. Sunnier spells across the southeast of England and northeast of Scotland. Very mild and quite windy.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Well, it's been a busy show. Still to come, we'll be building up to our live football this evening, and it is Sunderland versus Everton, the one remaining Premier League game. Adrian Durham there up at the Stadium of Light with Mark Wilson and Dean Ashton, your commentary team, and all the fallout, of course, on the weekend's football and tonight's game with the boys on the sports bar, Jamie and Jason at 10. We'll have some of Andy's nonsense by numbers very shortly, but before that, let's bring you a little bit more. We'll flesh out a little bit of that clip you heard from Thomas Frank on the story of Jed Spence and Mickey van der Ven leaving the pitch the other day. Let's bring you a little bit more of that now.
Mickey and Jed came into my office yesterday on prompt, just said, I want to say sorry for the situation. They didn't want it to look bad or disrespectful or all kind of perception you can get in this beautiful media world. So that was not their intention at all towards me or the team or the club. They were just frustrated with the performance, the loss and the booing during the game.
Yeah. I said to you, it's frustration.
One of the things he's learning is that, no disrespect to Brentford, but Tottenham are a bigger club, and with that becomes a lot more focus.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there is maybe a bit of a frustration that things that could go under the radar at Brentford, but that doesn't happen at Tottenham.
This was all, when the appointment was made, this was always going to be the case.
Yeah. I mean, somebody put to him in the press conference that it's been suggested he's a defence-minded, pragmatic coach, and he said, "Who says that?" A few journalists and a couple of fans on social media. I'm not on social media. It's fair to say every team we've managed to score a lot of goals, which is why it does seem unusual. Why we're just so toothless up front. It is partly personnel, and a lot of that personnel being undercooked. Richarlison's not been at it for a long time. Kalamwani's barely played and he's come back after an injury. The system that they play maybe doesn't suit Brennan Johnson quite as much as it did under him. Just all sorts of reasons.
The midfield's not overly creative.
No, I mean, it isn't, but...
Missing Maddison, missing...
Yeah, exactly. They're missing Kulusevski, they're missing Maddison. Javi Simons is taking a while to adapt. So there's a lot of reasons why they're a bit toothless up front.
And they have been doing it well away from home, and they have picked up quite a lot of points. They're on the same point as Chelsea.
It just seems to be at home when the onus is on them to be on the front foot.
This has been going on for all year, hasn't it?
They are not really putting it together.
There's got to be something psychological about playing at home.
This preoccupation with the idea that after we've lost the game, I desperately want the footballer who played in the match to come and applaud me. I don't care.
No.
I don't want them. If they just want to get off because they're in a bad mood, because I'd rather them be in a bad mood because they lost and get straight off the pitch.
If they come over to the fans, they start smiling.
I think it's different if you're away fans and you've travelled miles and miles.
That's
I think that's. But I think for the home fans, I don't think any of us particularly. We don't want them to stand in front of us after they've been abject like that and say, "Oh, sorry." I mean, because what sort of reaction are you going to get? Oh yeah, apology accepted. We'll see you next week. It's not going to happen, is it? I don't know what we expect from players sometimes, really. Anyway, let's on the lighter matters, Andy. What have you got for us from your many cuttings?
Our listener wanted a letter from Brian Limford.
He did, yeah. Ash in Newcastle was a big fan, yeah.
It does. So this one, it hasn't really got any capitals in it, so I won't be shouting.
No.
But it's also got no punctuation.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine Harmon, the host since 2004 of Place in the Sun, is now Renovation in the Sun, tackling a Spanish villa with her family. That's all one sentence without a comma. Yeah. The eldest of 7 children from Hackney, she is resilient and streetwise. Self-deprecatingly, she is experienced and a respected part of the show. Would love to have swung on Jasmine's coattails, I don't know what I was going to say there, the past 2 decades. Yeah. But like many, happy for some sunshine in our living rooms this winter.
Why is he so preoccupied with the TV work of Jasmine Harmon? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it does seem odd to write a letter to a news...
very random.
Yeah. It does strike me that the Star, with respect, will publish anything.
Well, I've sent them a picture of me and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbeck that I found. See if they're going to publish it.
I think they're on to you. They know your game. They know that you.
I got that one with Alan Fletcher. Me and my friend Alan Fletcher.
Did that get in?
That got in. Yeah, I've got it at home.
Did you? Did you see that Diogo Dallo is a relative, a distant relative of Ruben Amorim? I don't think they realised it. It was a little piece buried away in a match report. Yeah, it has emerged that Dallo is a distant relative of Amorim's. They took him off the other day, so family loyalty's only cut so far, I guess. But yeah, what about that? What about finding out that I wonder who found out. Was it Ruben or was it... I don't know.
No idea. I'm looking forward to speaking to Andy Brassel about Lamine Yamal's love life.
Oh, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, he majors on that.
Oh, yeah. He split from his...
That's why he watches hundreds of thousands of hours of European football, so you can focus on that. Yeah.
He split from his singer girlfriend, but denied it was because he was caught cheating.
Oh, dear.
The Barcelona ace, 18.
Well, she'll get an album out of it if Taylor Swift's anything to go by.
She's Argentinian singer Nicki Nicole, 25.
Right.
I like this place. Showbiz reporter Javier de Hoyos.
Javier de Hoyos.
It's his mouthpiece, apparently. Lamine tells me he was no longer dating Nicki when he went to Italy, and he hasn't been with anyone else. There you go.
So you're telling me that Javier de Hoyos is Lamine Yamal's mouthpiece?
Apparently.
Okay, well, that's
need a mouthpiece.
News just in.
Speak for himself.
Yes.
Oh, well. Okay, give me a number from 1 to 200.
196.
I'm sure you gave me that one the other day.
I wonder why I keep going to the same numbers.
You do.
Let's see. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
194.
Okay, 194.
These are Andy's cuttings. He's got 200 of them.
Okay.
Labour of love.
What was this? Oh, it's one of Ian Owen's.
Who's Ian Owen?
Ian Owen from Wallington in Surrey. He writes to the Sun.
Yeah.
But he's that bloke that just tells you what's happened.
He just basically repeats back,
yeah. What a top week for British clubs in the Champions League. There was a good win for Liverpool and a great performance by Chelsea, who thrashed Dutch side Ajax.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. I think we know that. Just we looked at the results. We
didn't talk about us stinking the place out at the same time.
He didn't. No,
that's good.
Didn't bother
okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Shall I say number 3? Should we go right to the beginning of this sorry mess?
One end of the spectrum.
I said number 3, but you're not on the first page. Okay,
it's good. Here we are.
All right. Yeah.
It's Arthur Edwards, the royal photographer.
Oh, yeah, we're big fans.
If anything's a surefire hit, it's the Prince and Princess of Wales on a royal tour of Australia.
Yeah.
Even more so if they were to bring their 3 children, George, Charlotte and Louis, with them. William and Catherine are probably the most popular royal couple in the world right now. Well, not that difficult, is it really?
No.
Given what they're up against.
Given the competition. That is probably true, yeah.
Yes.
You asked the listeners what they had for breakfast, although you didn't. I had forced it on you.
You did, yeah.
Because you told me what you had for breakfast.
That's right, yeah.
Mascot at Fresh Kicks HQ said, I had 2 bags of Haribo. I was feeling under the weather, and I was hoping it would give me some energy to get through
2
my
bags?
Diet. It's not good. That's not a balanced diet, Mascot, is it? Hello, everybody at Fresh Kicks there.
You might regret that later.
Yeah, you wanted limericks because you decided you found churkey rhyme with turkey.
And jerky. And areola rhymes with guardiola.
Yeah, but, I mean, is that enough to write a limerick?
Well, it might be. Let's see what the listeners have done.
Okay. What have we got here? Is there any swearing? It's a Wolves fan. Gaz, the Wolves fan from Telford, is timely. There was a football club owned by Fosun killing the team with their evil potion. The Wanderers are a sinking ship. They're heading for the championship. It's a shame that the Wolves are broken. That's quite sad,
It's good, though, but it's good.
Yeah.
Take that, Paddy McGuinness, and you're what people want for lunch.
You leave Paddy alone.
No, it's a good show, but that's not the point.
There once was a lad called Andy whose fandom was rather dandy. He marvelled at Pep City, so slick and so pretty, till Bournemouth struck oh so grandy. I'm not sure that. Not sure that.
Well, you know,
I'm not. I thought it was
Evergrande.
It was possibly
the Japanese team had been in there.
Diminishing returns.
Diminishing.
Diminishing returns.
That's a good word.
All right then. What else we got coming up? Well, we're going to have a chat with Andy Dawson. Going to look ahead to Sunderland versus Everton this evening. It'd be quite chipper the way Sunderland has started, pushing for Champions League at the moment.
Yes.
We'll have a bet builder on tonight's match as well. All to come. Andy Brassel guides us around Europe, and Dave Edwards, as we said, to talk a bit of Wolves after Vitor Pereira lost his job at the weekend. We're here with Toolstation. Check out Toolstation's unmissable Milwaukee deals. Shop in store, online, or on the app. Next stop, Toolstation.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Yeah, Sunderland, Everton live on talkSPORT. And up, we'll catch up with Sunderland fan Andy Dawson shortly. Before that, time for today's bet builder with our friends at Paddy Power. Fern Buckley's back. We're going to look ahead to the game. Good afternoon, Fern.
Good afternoon. I'm excited for this one. I think we can totally get this.
Let's hope so. I think we've got...
You're excited for the bet, not the game. I'm not excited about this game at all, to be really honest.
You never know. Anyway, just briefly tell us how the bet builder works, Fern.
Yeah, of course. We've all made some different picks, added them together, got some overall value. Paddy Power then chucked a tenner on it, hoping we get it right. Because when we do, all those winnings go to the Attitude Foundation, who do great work with the LGBT community.
I was tempted on the draw, but I've gone with a Sunderland win.
Yeah, it's a really popular one online. There's lots of support for that result in this match. And they've not faced Everton since 2017, but their win against Chelsea last weekend was proof that they've got what it takes. They've done so well this season.
And of course, didn't prove that at all. Sorry to disagree.
You not think?
No,
Andy's still bitter.
All it proves is Chelsea are ridiculously complacent against teams they think they're going to beat easily.
Yeah.
Ooh, salty. But a victory would put them back up second and keep them within 5 points of Arsenal. So, yeah, a victory for Sunderland.
Yeah, they'll be found out.
9-5. Sorry, I shouldn't have said
so
that.
bitter, Andy. It will be a combative game, I'm sure. So you've gone, Andy, Granite Jacket to get a booking.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And it coincides nicely with producer Sean's pick, which we'll get to in a sec. But considering how experienced Xhaka is defensively in the midfield, he's going to be going up against the likes of Grealish, against Ndiaye as well. And Xhaka, he has picked up 3 cards this season. So it's another popular pick on Paddy Power. That's in its 16-5. He's also a super sub as well. So if for any reason he comes off, Paddy Power will protect your bet.
He's been picking up fair few fouls, Jack Grealish. And
most fouled, I think he is.
Yeah, I think he's most. Producer Sean has gone with to be fouled 2+ times.
Yeah, like you say, no one in the Premier League has drawn more fouls than Jack Grealish. He's averaging just over 4 per 90 minutes at the moment. So it'd be fair to assume that 2 in this game could be happening, especially for our bet builder, maybe on the end of a dodgy one from Xhaka. That is in wonderful. And he's another super sub as well.
Yes, people's pick. Both teams to score, one of the more popular bets on the Paddy.
Yeah, which is a little bit rogue as well, because might not necessarily be a high-scoring game. And also, Sunderland, they've only conceded 2 goals in their 4 home games this season. Everton haven't scored since the start of last month. So, yeah, wild one from the people. But, like I say, almost 3,000 people have it in their bet builder. We support them, and that is in at 10-11.
And what have you gone with, Fern?
I've gone with Everton goalkeeper to make 2 or more saves. I think Jordan Pickford's going to be busy in this one. He's averaging 2.5 saves per match in the league this season. 23 saves actually in 9 appearances. And Sunderland, for their form right now, they could be extra busy. They're averaging just over 2.5 shots on target per game. So do a bit of maths. I think it could happen, and that's in at 4-11.
Yeah, I think you'll probably have to make 2 saves from Isidore headers, I would imagine. What are we looking at then cumulatively?
Really nice. Overall, it just comes in at under 40-1.
Ooh.
So from a £10 bet, you could get a return of £402 tonight if you believe in us and trust in us.
Wow.
And of course, if we get it right as well, all that money goes straight to the Attitude Foundation.
Fingers crossed. Thanks, Firm.
Cheers, guys.
That's Paddy's bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
And we're going to talk about the game in a bit more detail now, as we said, live on talkSPORT this evening. Andy Dawson, fine podcaster and Sunderland fan, joins us now. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, chaps.
So, Jordan Pickford, we just mentioned him there. He says he hopes he gets a good reception. Do you imagine he will?
Yeah, I'm sure he will do. He only played really one full season for us back in the season when we got relegated under David Moyes. And then Jordan was sold for 30 million quid, which, was obviously going to happen. He was never going to stay in the Championship or even League One with us. So, he's a local lad. He's still a Sunderland fan. He gets to some of our games now and again. So, yeah, Jordan will be well welcomed. Unlike the previously mentioned David Moyes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. He was relegated with you, wasn't he, Andy?
Well, he was, yeah. He came in after Sam Allardyce left after a few months to take the England job for that one match that he was manager of England for. That worked out well for everybody. David Moyes came in and he took on a side that had lost just 4 of the previous 19 games in the season before. We were kind of building on something, and he kind of wrote the season off about 3 games in by saying that we were in a relegation battle from the get-go. Wow. And that was quite prescient because we did indeed go down, mostly thanks to David Moyes and his terrible tenure.
It's strange, though. He's proved to be a great manager at other clubs. Sometimes a team and a manager just don't fit for whatever reason. It's so odd, isn't it, the dynamic of that?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It seemed like a good choice following on from Sam Allardyce, but it just didn't work from day one. And we tumbled down through the Championship into League One a year later. So, bad times all round under David Moyes.
I mean, have you been surprised by the team's form and the way they are in the table?
No, I knew it would be like this. I think if you go back through the archives and listen to every appearance that I've made on this show over the years, you'll find that I've always been hugely supportive of the ownership and all of the decisions they've made, and I knew that it would work out like this season. No, seriously, nobody could have predicted how well it's gone. I think we've brought in 15 new players over the summer, and the fact that they've all gelled in the way that they have is, I mean, there's been a huge dollop of luck, let's be honest, because when you're bringing in new players, there's always an element of luck, and we've been really lucky, I think, but also the recruitment has just been incredible. They've brought in a group of players who have, as I say, they've gelled straight away, they've hit the ground running, they've all got that right character about them that means they've been able to slot together into this team, which is pretty much a brand new team. I think there's 3 players that are regulars from last season's promotion team, and the rest of them are all these new lads, and they are all playing out of their skins. They're all fantastic.
I mean, there's always a danger of remember when Hull came up and they had that incredible start and were firing and getting lots of points and were top of the table. In the end, some teams can sort of run out of steam. Are you at all concerned about that? You've probably done enough already, though, to stay up, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm concerned about it. I think it's probably something that realistically we've got to look at that will happen. There will be a spell or two when we lose a few on the bounce or don't pick up any wins. But that's always kind of when you see what the mark of the team is or what the mark of the management is, how they react to stuff like that. We've got the African Cup of Nations is coming up later in December, and we're going to lose a few players to that. So that'll be a big test of the strength and depth that we've got. And we've also got quite a few tricky fixtures over that period as well. So things might dip then. But as you said, we're halfway towards safety pretty much already. I think it would take a drastic drop in results between now and the end of the season for us to go down, particularly when you look at how bad some of the teams are at the bottom of the table at the minute. But I'll settle for 17th still.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Are you there tonight, Andy?
Yep, I'll be there. Yep, season ticket holder with my son. We'll be there cheering them on.
Good stuff.
8 p.m.
And are you boys still doing your darts podcast, you and your lad?
We are Unserious Darts. Check it out. It's on all the podcast platforms.
Not long to go to the Worlds now, is it? We're about 6 weeks away or so.
Yeah, getting exciting now. There's a couple of really good tournaments on before then as well, so it's all building up really nicely towards the Ali Pally Dartmas, as we like to call it.
And you
festive season.
You and Bob Mortimer, have you got another Atletico Mints coming up?
Yeah, we've just put a new one out this week. Just recorded a new episode, so that's coming out. Yeah, we're doing about one a month at the moment, so all good there as well.
Excellent.
Good.
Enjoy the game tonight, Andy. All the best. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Andy Dawson now. Our thanks to him, and that game live, as we said, on talkSPORT. I'm sure Andy and Menti will be building up to it from 4, live commentary at 7, and get your calls in at the Sports Bar after tonight's game between Sunderland and Everton. We're around Europe next with Andy Brassel. Jamie Vardy scoring for Cremonese in the league. So we're going to be chatting about that and all other matters European football. And Dave Edwards will join us, the former Wolves midfielder, to chat about the end of Vita Pereira's reign and the possible return of Gary O'Neill. That's all to come.
We're told Gary O'Neill's looking for a Wolves contract that runs beyond the end of this season, and O'Neill is the favourite to take over from Victor Pereira despite his sacking 11 months ago. Our reporter Ben Jacobs says the ball's in O'Neill's court if he wants to go back.
If he does so, the expectation is that Sean Derry would also join him as well. But it's going to be whether or not O'Neill is somebody that Wolves feel can not only get them out of trouble, but if the parties were also to agree something longer term.
Vitor Pereira was sacked with Wolves still winless this season. Now, Steve Bruce is siding with the Spurs players who blanked their manager. Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence stormed straight past Thomas Frank after losing at home to Chelsea. Here's what Steve's told White and Jordan.
If I've been beaten and I've played badly, the one thing I don't want to do is I want to just get off, get into the dressing room and have a pop at a few. You know, that's all you want to do. You don't want to go around. How can you go around the supporters when you've played so badly, lost a derby game?
And Martin O'Neill insists he's not spoken to Celtic's board about staying on a little bit longer as manager. The 73-year-old did admit at the weekend he'd like to take the squad into the Scottish League Cup final after beating Rangers in extra time. More at talksport.com.
Now, the latest episode of 21 Minutes to Go, the podcast with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy's out now. Ever wondered the science behind a Scotch egg, or ask yourself, is a fish really a fish? Take it away, Jason.
They parboil an egg, but then you peel the shell carefully. Yeah. You then pack meat around it, then you roll it and break. So the meat, you can have whatever meat you want, right? So you can do whatever
fish?
No.
Right. Is fish a meat or is fish a fish?
Protein. It's a meat of... It's not meat, though, is it? Not how I look at meat.
No, it's not how I look at meat.
Meat has to come from an animal. I know fish is an animal, though, isn't it?
No, fish is not an animal, is it?
What is it?
Fish is a... What's a mammal?
We're a mammal.
Are we mammals?
I think we're mammals, aren't we?
Blimey.
There we are.
The brain's trust, is it? God.
So there we are. If you fancy spending 21 minutes of your life listening to that nonsense, it says here, not my words, boys, go and enjoy 21 Minutes to Go now, available on your podcast provider now. On the more serious matters, the world of European football with Trans Europe Express's very own Andy Brassel. Hi, Andy.
Hello, fellas. No truth to the rumour that Marcus Rashford's excellent form is to do with the diet of purely Scotch eggs.
Yes, it would seem unlikely. We know the tomahawk steaks are fueling Erling Haaland now because of his YouTube channel. Before we get into the meat of what went on, or is it indeed the fish of what went on, I'm going to ask you about Will Still. It's interesting talking to our Southampton podcaster a little bit earlier on, Martin Sanders, saying he felt a bit sorry for Will Still, felt he'd been let down, the players had chucked him under the bus. I take it his stock is still pretty high in France and around Europe. I doubt if he'll be out of work for too long.
Well, maybe. I mean, I think to go over to a big job in England and it to not work out after 5 months is going to stick to you a little bit. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I guess there will be half an eye on what happens with clubs in Ligue 1 for the back half of this season. Like Habib Bey, formerly of Newcastle, Villa, Hull, he was in big trouble until they beat Liam Rosinia's Strasbourg this weekend. So there are always going to be opportunities popping up. Whether necessarily he would take those, obviously part of the reason that he wanted to come to England was family based as well as the ambition of wanting to get on in the Championship and ultimately the Premier League. So we'll have to see whether that limits him.
Why are the Spanish media getting stuck into Kylian Mbappe? He scored 2 goals in a 4-0 win, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. And I think if you look at Real Madrid 4, Valencia 0 on paper, it looks fantastic. Now, of course, it's slightly alleged by the fact that Valencia are currently awful and looking like they're heading for relegation. But still, Kylian Mbappe continued his brilliant form this season, scored the first 2 goals to put them 2-0 up. But before Jude Bellingham scored the third, they got a second penalty. And he handed it to Vinicius Junior. Now, Vinny had a difficult old week. He threw that strop when he was coming off in El Clasico. He apologised to the fans, his teammates, the directors, not directly to Xabi Alonso, I might add, the bloke who actually took him off. And so then I guess to sort of build bridges, get everyone feeling good about themselves with a game, looking pretty good against feeble opposition. Mbappe could have scored his hat-trick, hands the penalty over to Vinicius Junior. What does he do? Misses it.
Oh dear.
And you should have seen the look on Xabi Alonso's face.
Wow.
Now, given that he's a guy who's quite sanguine and calm, and he looked a bit like Michael Douglas when he was ordering breakfast in Falling Down. Like he was just struggling to keep it all in. And then he was asked about it afterwards and said, well, penalty takers can change depending on the moment. But obviously I would have liked us to score, and obviously Kylian Mbappe is our number one penalty taker. So that sort of apology without including that sort of, understanding of mistakes will happen without necessarily forgiving the person involved. A little bit like Vinicius Junior and what he'd done to him earlier in the week. Now, they were discussing this in the Madrid media, and someone actually of Cadena Ser, the radio station, said, look, it's not a kids' match. It's an actual professional match.
Yeah.
I think the point of it's clear, because this is something Carlo Ancelotti had a problem with. He rotated the penalty taker last season between Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, who hadn't taken nearly as many in his career, and even Jude Bellingham, who scored a couple. Now, the fact is, Ancelotti was criticised for it, by me, actually, amongst others. And then you look at it and you think, it's just ego management, isn't it, really? Someone should be able to say, look, this is our guy who takes penalties. It's part of his job. He's our best goal scorer. Let him take the penalties. But no, of course, even when you're someone like Xabi Alonso, who says it's all about meritocracy, it's kind of about ego management as well.
Real Madrid at Liverpool tomorrow night is an intriguing prospect. You're going to get a good idea where Real Madrid are, I think. Excuse me.
And a good idea where Liverpool are as well, I think, Andy. And it's interesting to see them going back to what worked for them really well last season, really, in the game against Villa. So I think no one's forgetting, not least Xabi Alonso, that Liverpool handed out 2 real hidings last season to his Leverkusen. Despite the fact that Leverkusen were in that game for an hour. And despite the score, actually, Real Madrid got a far worse mauling at Anfield, and Mbappe had the worst moment of his season where he missed that penalty, going back to missing penalties again now. So I think for Real Madrid, for them to sort of drop some sort of anchor in the Champions League is really important for them to do that. You feel the atmosphere has really changed since El Clasico, because they felt like more of a Xabi Alonso team. They were pragmatic, they were sensible, they were incisive, and if they can continue doing that, then great. It does feel, funnily enough, that Mbappe and Bellingham are more the main players for them than Vinicius Junior at the moment, and maybe that's part of the reason for the strop. But we can't forget that Liverpool, being good Liverpool, gave them a real shoeing last season. So Real Madrid have got something to prove, I think. Yeah. Trent Alexander-Arnold, not expected to start in that. He was on the bench as an unused substitute against Valencia, but nowhere near ready for an encounter of this sort of intensity.
Now, in Germany, in the Bundesliga, Bayern were able to leave out Kane, Luis Diaz, Michael Olise and Upamecano and still see off the 5th place team in Leverkusen. That is an embarrassment of riches, isn't it?
Yeah, 5th. Well, they're in the top 4 at the start of the weekend. But I guess we've been really spoilt with Bayern versus Bayer Leverkusen over the last couple of years, because it's been genuinely intense and competitive. And really, Leverkusen have pushed Bayern as far as anyone since the heyday of Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund. So we all knew it was over, because, of course, they've changed coaches twice since Xabi Alonso left. Kasper Hjulmand, who is an experienced, really good coach, who's great for Denmark, he has got a lot of talented players, but absolutely no time to mould them into a team, because it's just fixture, like it is for everyone else. And that's the problem, really, because they turned up there as Leverkusen by name, but not really by nature. So Kompany felt completely comfortable in being able to leave those 3 on the bench. Of course, they're playing PSG in the Champions League this week, Bayern, and talking of laying down markers, that's a really huge game for them. And he made clear afterwards that he was really looking forward to it. But I think it tells you a lot about Kompany as well, and the job that he's doing at Bayern. Not just the fact that they've now won 15 games out of 15 this season, which is remarkable by any standards. And this was one of the easier ones. But I think by the fact that to be able to say to Harry Kane, no, you're sitting today, which not a lot of coaches have been able to do over his career, and saying, look, we've got a small squad, we're going for a greater good, you can't play every game, just suck it up. And to say that to Luis Diaz and to Michael Elise as well, and to, as you say, Upamecano, who they're trying to get to sign a new contract. He's out of contract at the end of the season. And one of those, like Mark Gay, there are some great central defenders available for free on the market next summer. So it shows the sort of authority that Kompany has. And I guess how much everyone at the club really trusts him.
Jamie Vardy scored 2 goals in a week for him against Juve. They didn't win the game, but Spalletti was very nice about him. He's been impressed with what he's seen. What have you made of him so far?
I think it was a slow start, certainly, and I think it was difficult for him to get into the team, A, because he hadn't had a full pre-season, and B, because Cremonese have started really well. I mean, they won at Milan on the first night of the season, which is pretty impressive. So for him to get into that team was tough. But you saw the opening goal at Atalanta where he did the backflip, and you're thinking, well, right, you know, bear in mind that Kevin De Bruyne and Paulo Dybala have both done their hamstrings taking penalties recently. Are you sure you know what you're doing here? But he's fine. And of course, I think the brilliance of this goal against Juventus is Federico Gatti, who's one of the better central defenders in the division. He just ragdolled him and just absolutely steamed past him to score. So really, really impressive. And the Cremonese story is impressive as well. They've got a good team this season. They don't need to play him every game, so they can give him the breathers he needs too.
And just finally, we'll have to talk about how competitive the Premier League is, but the bottom team in the Dutch League won 8-2. What happened there?
I mean, look, I guess they'll be sitting there afterwards going, someone was due a thrashing. Look, they're still bottom after winning that game, I might add. Heracles, they beat Pek Zwolle 8-2. Giz Hoornkamp scoring a hat-trick, which is great for him. He's been a consistent goal scorer down the years in the Eredivisie. But, you know, the idea that anything can happen, we all love that, don't we?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We certainly do. I'm all for that. Thanks, Andy. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Andy Brasser, they're looking at some stories from around Europe. Trans-Europe Express for a deeper dive into the world of European football with Andy and Danny Kelly and Tim Vickery and lots of fine guests. You can listen to it. If you can't listen live on a Sunday night, it's available to download as a podcast. So, we talked earlier on about Will Still. Funny enough, Martin, who was our podcaster, said, get Oriol Romeo back. And they have.
Yeah, they have.
They're now making moves to do that. So I'd like to think maybe the hierarchy at Southampton were listening to Martin earlier on. We're going to talk Wolves next. Dave Edwards, former Wolves midfielder, on the possible return of Gary O'Neill. Although there's a strong word for Eric Ten Hag, apparently. We'll see what Dave makes of that and what went wrong for Vitor Pereira in a few moments' time. We're here, of course, with our very good friends at Toolstation. Check out Toolstation's unmissable Milwaukee deals. Shop in store, online or on the app. Next stop, Toolstation. We end today talking Wolves, and of course, 45 days after being given a new 3-year deal, Vitor Pereira was sacked as the Wolves manager after their quite terrible start. Joining us now, the former Wolves midfielder, Dave Edwards. Hi, Dave.
Good afternoon, chaps.
Yeah, pretty depressing for your old club at the moment. It seems that the finger being pointed just as much as the ownership as it is the manager, Dave.
Yeah, I feel that's where the fans' frustration lies. I think sort of season after season in recent years, they've sold the best players, and Fosun, when they first come to the football club, have done such an amazing job to turn Wolves into what it's achieved in the last few years. The early success in the Premier League, the star players they had in Moutinho, Neves, Neto, Jimenez, Traore, the list goes on. And since COVID, though, the purse strings have had to tighten, and the self-sustainable model of buying in players younger and cheaper and developing them has served them really well in terms of making profit. The likes of Pedro Neto, the likes of Ray and Aït-Nouri, and they've done really well out of it. But it feels like if you do that every single season and lose your best players, then it will catch up with you. And maybe that's the situation at the moment. You look at the other teams who've done it successfully, they let one or two go and then they keep the rest. But it feels like Wolves have let them all go last season, in Mateus Cunha and Ray and Aït-Nouri in particular.
Yeah, and Semedo, yeah.
Yeah, and Wolves keep contributing to their own downfall, though. They did against Chelsea in midweek. They did on Saturday. And you just think, if they could cut out the mistakes. I mean, in the second half against Chelsea, they were the better side. They were.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's been. I think they've conceded the most goals from errors this season, and that's really hurt them. I think that Vitor Pereira, when he came in last year, he did such a terrific job because the club was in a little bit of disarray at the time. We had the antics, sort of the on-field antics of the fighting on the pitch and things like that, but he brought the whole club back together. And what he did mainly was create this new strategic way of which we were going to play, which was really obvious to everyone. You looked at Wolves and you knew they were going to set up 3-4-3. You knew 9 or 10 of the players every single week if everyone was fit. It was expected from everyone, and it worked. Whereas this season, we haven't been picking up the results. He's had to chop and change. He can't find his best starting 11. He's flipped from 3 at the back to 4 at the back, different combinations in midfield, and he's really struggled to get that continuity. But the mistakes at the back has been a big thing, and Emmanuel Agbadou, who was a revelation when he came in last season in the January. I thought he was one of the best Premier League defenders. Just hasn't happened from this season. Made a lot of mistakes, got sent off again on Saturday at Fulham. And conceding goals is always a huge problem. But what Wolves haven't got is the creativity they had last season at the top end of the pitch to take the pressure off them a little bit. I think that's been where they've fallen down a little bit.
Sven Larsson's good, though. I mean, they resisted Newcastle's offer. He's a decent player.
I mean, there's talk of Gary O'Neill going back, which kind of feeds into this muddled thinking of sort of, the manager that lost 10 games last year, you're going to re-employ now. And that's no reflection on Gary because he had issues himself. But you could argue without Cunha and Aït-Nouri, Semedo, he's going back with a weaker side. But maybe he can see that there's a job he can do there. He can tighten things up. He can stop them making the mistakes that Andy said he saw them make. Maybe it'd be a different this time. But they're talking about Erik ten Hag as well. It seems he's up quite high in the betting days.
Bad, isn't it?
Yeah, the Gary O'Neill one really, really surprised me. Obviously, it was only 11 months since he was at the football club. And again, Gary, a bit like Vitor Pereira, had a wonderful start in difficult circumstances. He took over from Julian Lopetegui only, I think it's 4 or 5 days before the season started. And he had a wonderful first season. They got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. But injuries really hurt him at the back end of that season, in attack in particular. But got onto a bad run at the start of the season, some tough fixtures, and it just seemed to get away from him. But you look at it was his first real job. I know he did Bournemouth, but his first prolonged job, and in the Premier League, a very unforgiving club. It's a huge club, Wolves is, and the pressure mounted. So I'm sure if he does come back, he'll have learnt so much from that experience. So it's one not to rule out. And then, Erik ten Hag, again, he did so well at Ajax. He had some really good times at Manchester United. I know Man United fans grew a little bit frustrated with them as time went on. I know it hasn't been great for him more recently, but he's got great experience, and Wolves just need someone who can get that dressing room back together, because I think they've got good enough players in there to survive. I don't think it's I think it's probably the weakest team they've had in recent years in the Premier League, but there's still enough in there to finish out that bottom three, but they've got a lot of work to do.
Finally, Dave, I see that you're back with your podcast, new series of your podcast, In the Stiffs, you and some old Shrewsbury teammates.
Yes, season 5 actually starts tomorrow, so we've had a little bit of time off, but looking forward to that. And even though we don't talk about it in the podcast, we'll be celebrating Gavin Cowan, one of my mates who I do it with. He's Brackley Town manager, and I was there on Saturday as they beat Notts County in the FA Cup, so they've got themselves into the second round of the FA Cup. I think everyone back in Shropshire is kind of hoping that Brackley will draw Shrewsbury Town. That'll be a bit of a great game. But Gav used to play for Shrewsbury like me, so that's one to look out for tonight in the draw.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Dave. We'll catch up with you soon. All the best.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Dave Edwards there, former Wolves midfielder, on Vitor Pereira, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure they'll be chatting about this on Drive, as well as building up to tonight's game live on talkSPORT, Sunderland v Everton. We'll be back tomorrow. All manner of stuff to get stuck into. We've got some pretty juicy Champions League matches to chat about tomorrow. We'll have some clips of the month for you and all manner of other bits and pieces as well. So do hope you can join us from 1. But as we said, coming up next, it's Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent with Drive.